Chapter 2877. The Nine Phantom Mountain Range. It was the largest mountain range in the Nine Phantom Heaven. There were countless spiritual beasts and spiritual herbs. There were even spiritual beasts of the godly king level. Even so, many warriors would still swarm into the Nine Phantom Mountain Range. Their goal was to obtain beast cores and spiritual herbs. In the Nine Phantom Mountain Range, killing and robbing were common. As long as you were powerful enough, you could do whatever you wanted. Everything was decided with your fists. The five of them entered the Nine Phantom Mountain Range successfully. They could finally breathe a sigh of relief. No matter how powerful Zuolan's forces were, it was impossible for them to cover the entire Nine Phantom Mountain Range. They were safe after entering the Nine Phantom Mountain Range. Although we are safe for now, we can't go on like this. So, we need to earn crystal stones as soon as possible and leave the Nine Phantom Heaven. Longao felt very guilty in his heart. If not for him, the four of them would not have ended up in such a sorry state. If the five of them could not leave the Nine Phantom Heaven, the consequences would be unimaginable. Brother Mabai, what should we do to earn enough crystal stones in the shortest time possible? Yuan Hua snorted coldly. Along the way, Yuan Hua gave Longao a hard time. In Yuan Hua's opinion, it was all because of Longao that the four of them ended up in such a state. Longao did not mind at all. If not for Mabai and the other two, he would have attacked long ago. As his cultivation reached the beginner lower god level, Longao was very confident that he could defeat Yuan Hua. Apart from Mabai, only Chulung was a middle lower god. Wang Xian and Yuan Hua were beginner lower gods. Hunting spiritual beasts and obtaining beast cores is the fastest way to earn crystal stones. The beast cores of level 1 spiritual beasts might not be worth much, but level 2 beast cores were quite valuable. If they could obtain the beast cores of level 3 spiritual beasts, then without a doubt, even a single level 3 beast core would allow the three of them to leave the Nine Phantom Heaven. Nodding, Longao took out a small bottle and said, "Sister Xian, here are 20 energy condensing pills. I believe that with the help of these energy condensing pills, your cultivation should be able to reach the middle lower god level." Wang Xian grabbed the bottle and said gratefully, "Sister will not stand on ceremony with you." Yuan Hua's eyes lit up when he heard the words strength condensing pill. He, too, was a novice lesser deity and similarly needed the energy condensing pill. Longao, what about me? He looked down from above. It was as if Longao was his subordinate, and he was so arrogant when he asked for things. Not to mention Longao. Even Mabai and the other two frowned slightly. They didn't say much. After all, the energy condensing pill came from Longao. Even they couldn't say much. I only have 20 energy condensing pills. It's only enough for Sister Xian to break through. Longao's meaning was very clear. There was no more, not even one more energy condensing pill. He was infuriated. Yuan Hua was not a fool. Of course, he knew that Longao did this on purpose. Longao, you have to know that we are in this situation because of you. Don't you think you should compensate us? Before Longao could speak, Yuan Hua continued, "Consider it compensation. Give me 20 energy condensing pills." Yuan Hua. This time, Yuan Hua didn't give Mabai a chance to speak. He said, "Brother Mabai, I know that you are all good people. But good people need to know when. We were chased for no reason, and the person who chased us was Zuolan, the city lord of Mist Mountain City. Longao, as compensation, shouldn't you give me 20 energy condensing pills?" Mabai didn't know what to say. Wang Xian, however, was a little angry. She scolded, "Yuan Hua, are you crazy?" "Haha, Wang Xian, you got 20 energy condensing pills. Of course, you can make sarcastic remarks here. What about me? I was chased for no reason and you guys got all the benefits. If you want it, I'll give it to you." Grabbing hold of Wang Xian, Longao's face also became a bit cold. "Brother Long, it's okay." Longao sneered and said, "If it's someone on our side, not to mention 20 energy condensing pills, even if it's 200 energy condensing pills, I'll give it to him." Longao, what are you trying to say? Yuan Hua was instantly angry. He didn't expect Longao to be like this. Could it be that he found out something? As the leader of the Black Wind Squad, how could Mabai not know that Longao was implying something? He waved his hand, stopping Yuan Hua from continuing. Brother Long, we are all brothers. I've gone through life and death with them many times. Some things can be said, and some things can't be said. Mabai wouldn't believe that Yuan Hua would betray them even if he was beaten to death. He was helpless. If it wasn't a last resort, he wouldn't want to expose Yuan Hua. However, this situation was very dangerous. If Yuan Hua continued to follow the four of them, he knew what the consequences would be. Yuan Hua, if I'm not wrong, you've already established contact with Zuolan a day ago. Along the way, you've been leaving marks everywhere. If I hadn't erased them, I'm afraid we would have been discovered by Zuolan. Am I right? You're talking nonsense. You're wrongly accusing me. You want us to fight among ourselves. You despicable thing. I'm going to kill you. Enough. Mabai's face was extremely gloomy. Although Yuan Hua didn't say much, the meaning in his words was very clear. If they still couldn't figure out whether Yuan Hua did it or not, then they would have wasted their years. Yuan Hua, let me ask you, did you do it or not? Yuan Hua originally wanted to say no, but looking at Mabai, Chu Lung, and Wang Xian beside him, he finally shook his head and said angrily, that's right. I secretly contacted Zuolan City Lord and left marks along the way. I didn't expect that Longao would erase them along the way. Brother Mabai, don't blame me for being heartless. It's all your fault. You're shameless. Wang Xian was very angry. She had seen shameless people before, but she had never seen such a shameless person. He was clearly the one who betrayed the team, but now he still said such words. He was the most shameless of shameless. However, Mabai was relatively calmer. He said helplessly, no matter what, Brother Long has no choice. As for us as a small team, no matter what happens, we should never abandon him. If we were like that back then, how could the four of us be like this now? Yuan Hua sneered and roared angrily. The four of us were fine. Why did you let a piece of trash come in and ruin our lives? Only death awaits us if we offend Zuolan City Lord. Do you really think that we can leave the 9 Netherworld heavenly domains smoothly? This is truly a joke among jokes. Extremely laughable. Truly laughable. Chapter 2878. What do you want? Mabai was furious. He didn't expect Yuan Hua to be like this. No matter who is right or wrong, a team must persevere. They must not abandon anyone. Mabai and the other two knew very well that if it were Yuan Hua, they wouldn't abandon him either. But Yuan Hua's performance had disappointed them too much. Brother Mabai, I want to leave the Black Wind team. Okay. Everyone had their own ambitions. Mabai and the others didn't insist. Right at this moment. So it's the Water Pipe Black Wind team. Mabai, I didn't expect that before I made a move, your Black Wind team had already offended City Lord Zuolan. Looks like you're dead for sure this time. The giant team's captain, Wang Kai, was a junior lower god. The other 4 wolves were not to be underestimated. Looking at the 5 people in front of them, Mabai and the others' faces changed. Wang Kai, what do you want? The current Mabai didn't fear Wang Kai at all. After all, he had successfully broken through to junior lower god. Once the two started fighting, it was unknown who would win. Wang Kai was also furious. If he had known that Mabai could break through, he would have thought of a way to get rid of the Black Wind team. Letting the tiger go back to the mountain would leave behind future troubles. Very simple. Your Black Wind team dared to kill the guards of the City Lord Mansion. City Lord Zuolan has already announced to the entire Netherworld Heaven that anyone who can kill your Black Wind team will be heavily rewarded. You? Preemptive strike. Mabai didn't continue talking nonsense. He knew very well that this matter couldn't be resolved easily. Instead of being passive, he might as well take the initiative. That way, he would have the upper hand. In the blink of an eye, Mabai and Wang Kai were already fighting. As for the 4 wolves, they immediately surrounded Longao, Chu Lung, and Wang Xian. Right at this moment, Yuan Hua had already left the Black Wind team. Thus, he stayed far away and didn't leave. He just watched the show. Actually, Yuan Hua's intention was very simple. If the Black Wind team and the Giant team fought and both sides suffered heavy losses, then he would be able to reap the benefits. The 4 members of the Giant team, Purple Wolf, Black Wolf, White Wolf, and Red Wolf, were all mid-lower gods. On the other hand, on Longao's side, apart from Chulung, who was a mid-level low-level deity, the other 2, Longao and Wang Xian, were only low-level deities. The Giant squad's overall strength was still slightly stronger than the Black Wind squad. Wang Xian and Chulung were gradually unable to hold on. If this situation continued, the consequences would be obvious. Longao's face became colder and colder. It was already so strenuous for him to deal with White Wolf, let alone the other 2. What should he do? According to Yunxi, whether it was his Xianyuan sword or the Chaos Axe, he should not use them unless he had no other choice. Otherwise, he would definitely bring a fatal disaster to himself. But now, how could he not use the Xianyuan sword? The situation was critical. Longao could not care about anything else. Instantly, a sword appeared in Longao's hand. It was the Xianyuan sword. In the next second, an unparalleled battle intent suddenly rose from Longao's body and shot straight to the 9 heavens. White Wolf, who was fighting with Longao, suddenly felt a strong fighting intent rising from the other party's body. He was shocked. He didn't know what was going on. Why would such a terrifying fighting intent suddenly burst out from the other party's body? What was going on? Not to mention White Wolf. Even the others were in disbelief. After all, Longao was only a low-level deity. It was unbelievable that he could erupt with such a terrifying battle intent. White Wolf. And this quickly? Yes. White Wolf did not dare to be careless. Although there was a difference of 1 level between a low-level deity and a mid-level low-level deity, there were plenty of people who could counterattack and fight. For Longao to be able to erupt with such a terrifying battle intent, it was enough to prove something. 9 god-slaying swords. First sword. With Longao's strength, he could not forcibly use the second sword. It was only when he killed Yi Ku and the other 2 that he had no choice but to use the second sword. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Longao would not use the second sword easily. After all, the consequences of the backlash were not pleasant. The Xianyuan sword in his hand slashed out with endless battle intent. It was like a dragon soaring to the 9 heavens. White Wolf was completely shocked, because he realized that he did not even have the confidence to resist the battle intent erupting from his opponent. What was going on? Such a situation had never happened before. Not to mention that his opponent was only a low-level deity. Even a high-level low-level deity or even a peak low-level deity would not be able to do this. It was very strange. Just as White Wolf was in a daze, the Xianyuan sword in Longao's hand had already slashed down. Strangely enough, White Wolf did not even try to dodge. It was as if he was just standing there, waiting to be killed. Under normal circumstances, even if White Wolf was not a match for Longao, it should not be like this. However, the terrifying battle intent that erupted from Longao's body caused White Wolf to be a little distracted. In a battle between experts, the slightest difference could decide the outcome. Gotcha! After killing White Wolf with 1 slash, before the others could even react, Longao had already charged in another direction. His speed soared to the extreme because he had already discovered that Wang Xian and Chulung were starting to be unable to resist. If this continued, who knew what would happen? After joining the battle, Longao did not want to be sloppy at all. He continuously slashed out, sword after sword. The continuous sword chi struck the other 3 wolves and forced them to retreat. Regardless of whether it was Wang Xian or Chulung, when they saw that Longao was actually so strong, the 2 of them were pleasantly surprised. However, no matter what, Longao had just stepped into the heaven domain from the starry sky. In less than a month, his strength had already risen to such a level. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. The 2 of you, hold back Red Wolf and Purple Wolf. I will deal with the Black Wolf. Okay. Chu Leng and Wang Xian had already seen Longao's strength with their own eyes. The two of them immediately held back Red Wolf and Purple Wolf, allowing Longao to deal with the Black Wolf. In just a few seconds, Longao had already killed the Black Wolf with one slash. It was easy to imagine what happened next. In less than a few minutes, Longao had consecutively killed 4 mid-level low gods. Chu Leng and Wang Xian stared at the young man in front of them, stupefied. They simply could not imagine that a novice low god could kill 4 mid-level low gods consecutively. It was simply inconceivable. Yuan Hua, who was standing at the side, was also a little dumbfounded. However, he felt even more jealousy. He clenched his fists tightly. If not for the fact that he could not kill Yi Shiwen, he might have personally taken action. I will teach you a lesson later. After dealing with the 4 intermediate lower gods, Longao prepared to continue helping Ma Bai. After all, who knew how long it would take for the battle between the two to end? Chapter 2879. 4 against 1. Wang Kai was furious to the extreme. Until now, he didn't expect that in a few minutes, his 4 teammates would all die. The culprit was this so-called beginner lower god. If he didn't kill this person, he wouldn't be able to get rid of the hatred in his heart. However, Wang Kai was very clear about the current situation. It was basically impossible for him to win against 4 people by himself. Retreat. As the saying goes, revenge is a dish best served cold. How could Longao and the other 3 not know what Wang Kai was thinking? The 3 of you, lend me a hand. The 3 of them didn't know what Longao wanted to do, but they still nodded. Xian Yuan's sword in his right hand, burning heart flame lotus in his left. At this moment, Longao finally prepared to use burning heart flame lotus. He knew very well what the consequences would be if the news that he had burning heart flame lotus spread out. Strange flame? You actually have strange flame. Looking at the burning heart flame lotus in Longao's hand, not only Wang Kai, but even Ma Bai and the others were completely shocked. They knew very well what strange flame meant. There were a total of 23 types of strange flames in the Chaos Realm. Every strange flame was a heaven-defying item. Anyone who had strange flames would become a super expert in the future. There are many things you don't know. Longao only snorted coldly. Taking advantage of the moment when Wang Kai was shocked, the Xian Yuan sword in his hand had already fiercely slashed out. At the same time, the burning heart flame lotus in his hand was also reflected. Fighting with all his strength. Even if Longao had strange flame, it was still very difficult to kill a middle god. However, the situation now was different. The power of burning heart flame lotus was needless to say. Just as Wang Kai was touched by burning heart flame lotus, his entire body let out a miserable cry that resounded through the entire world. In a short second, Wang Kai, who was still alive and kicking, had already been burned to ashes. Not even dregs were left. In order to destroy the evidence, Longao also burned the corpses of the other 4 people. He swallowed his saliva fiercely. Wang Xian asked in shock, "Brother Long, did you do this?" Longao smiled and said, "The 3 of you, to tell you the truth, there is an inheritance left behind by a super expert in the galaxy I'm in. That's why I obtained this strange flame. I hope you won't reveal this matter." The 3 of them naturally knew what the heart-burning flame lotus meant. Ma Bai smiled and said, "We know what's important." Chu Leng seemed to have thought of something. He probed, "Brother Long, did the inheritance you obtained come from Senior Battle Emperor?" Chu Leng actually guessed it. Longao was very surprised. Longao did not doubt the 3 at all. He said, "That's right. I have obtained Xianyuan Bubi's inheritance." So that was the case. Xianyuan Bubi, also known as the War Emperor, dominated the entire Chaos Realm. The 3 of them had never imagined that Longao had actually obtained the Battle Emperor's inheritance. "Brother Chu, how did you guess?" Xianyuan's sword. Longao then looked at Yuan Hua. His meaning was very clear. No matter what, Yuan Hua had already left the Black Wind squad. Moreover, he had contacted Zhualan. If Yuan Hua were to leak his information, he was afraid that trouble would come endlessly. Ma Bai sighed deeply in his heart. How could he not know what Longao meant? Brother Long, Yuan Hua has always been our brother. There are some things that cannot be done. I understand. However, he has to swear that today's matter will not be leaked. Ma Bai looked at Yuan Hua and said, Yuan Hua, although you have already left the Black Wind Squad and are no longer our brother, we have been through thick and thin together. Therefore, you still have to swear that today's matter will not be leaked. How about it? Okay. Yuan Hua naturally did not dare to say no. The strength that Longao had just displayed was too terrifying. He could even easily kill a mid-god, let alone Yuan Hua. If it was not for Ma Bai, he might have been killed by Longao. After Yuan Hua swore, Longao and the other three immediately set off. 6 hours later, Emoing finally arrived with the two high gods. He asked in a cold voice, Where are Ma Bai and the other three? Yuan Hua respectfully bowed and said, Reporting to my lord, just now Ma Bai and the other three killed Wang Kai and the other four of the giant squad. They are heading northeast for about 6 hours. Did you make a mark? I have already made a mark on Wang Xian's body. If nothing unexpected happens, we should be able to follow the mark to find the forest tracks. Yuan Hua was very confident about this. Okay, let's chase. In order to avoid Zuolan's pursuit, Longao, Ma Bai, and the other three had already gone very deep into the 9 Phantom mountain range. There were powerful spiritual beasts here, and there were even high god spiritual beasts. However, even so, the four could not care about anything else. Wait, why do I feel as if someone is following us? Brother Long, what is going on? Sister Xian, your body. Wang Xian naturally knew what Longao meant. She immediately began to inspect her body. Gradually, Wang Xian's expression became more and more unsightly. She said, It seems that Yuan Hua left a mark on my body. I really did not expect that Yuan Hua would do such a thing. Chulun was very angry, but Ma Bai said, Since Yuan Hua is so heartless, then don't blame us for being unrighteous. From now on, Yuan Hua is no longer our brother. Sigh, it's too late. Longao felt very helpless. He also did not expect that Yuan Hua would do such a thing. It seemed that he had not been very careful. If he had killed Yuan Hua earlier, this would not have happened. In the next second, 4 figures suddenly descended. They were none other than Emoing and the other three who had followed the mark. Yuan Hua was one of them. Yuan Hua, as expected, it was you. How have we wronged you for you to betray us again? You really are shameless. Wang Xian was infuriated when she thought of how Yuan Hua had left a mark on her body. She had never thought that Yuan Hua would betray them a second time. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to discover his mark on her body. Yuan Hua directly chose to ignore them. He coldly said, You chose him. Don't blame me. If I didn't betray you, then I would be the one to die. Wang Xian seemed to want to say something, but Ma Bai waved his hand and said, Our brotherhood is broken. There is no point in saying more. Emoing was very impatient. He said, As long as you obediently follow me back to Mist Mountain City, the 4 of you can live. Otherwise, none of you will be left alive. Ma Bai and the other two's expressions were very grave. Emoing and the other 2 were all high gods. Not to mention the 3 of them joining forces. Even any one of them was not in existence that they could contend against. Chapter 2880. Return to Mist Mountain City. That was a joke. Mo Bai and the other 3 knew that if they followed the 3 back to Mist Mountain City, they would die. Do you think you can bring us back? Emoing was furious at Longao. It was because of this that he was almost killed by his master. As long as it was Longao's spatial artifact, even Lord Zuolan would be tempted, let alone him. After all, in the entire Chaos Realm, flying and spatial artifacts were the rarest. Lord has already instructed us to see them if they are alive or dead. Mo Bai and the other 2 were prepared to die. No matter what happened, they couldn't follow the 3 back to Mist Mountain City. Brother Mo Bai, don't resist. I will bring you out. They still couldn't fly out of the Chaos Palace, but it was good enough that they could hide inside. Ever since they entered the Chaos Realm, Longao had probed the Chaos Palace. Previously, in the vast starry sky, others could enter the Chaos Palace for 3 months. But ever since they entered the Chaos Realm, no matter who it was, they could only stay in the Chaos Palace for a day. Even so, it was enough. Just as Mo Ying and the other two were about to make a move, the situation suddenly changed. The 4 people who had been there just a moment ago suddenly disappeared. Even though Mo Ying already knew that they had a spatial artifact in their hands, he still did not know how they had left. This was the first time Yuan Hua saw such a situation, and he was stunned. Inside the Chaos Palace, looking at the unfamiliar space, Mo Bai and the other two knew what happened. It turned out that Longao had such a heaven-defying spatial artifact. No wonder he told them not to resist. Brother Long, who is this? As soon as they entered the spatial artifact, the 3 of them saw that there was a jade bed in the spatial artifact. On the bed lay a devastatingly beautiful girl, giving off a very peaceful feeling. She is my wife. Due to some reason, she fell into a long slumber. Wife. Mo Bai and the other two seemed to have guessed something, but they didn't say anything. Qin Shuangshuang had always been in the Chaos Palace, and she was the only one who could stay in the Chaos Palace for a long time. As for the reason, even Long Ao didn't know. He didn't want to talk about Qin Shuangshuang. You can only stay in my spatial god artifact for a day. After a day, the spatial god artifact will automatically send you out. However, if nothing unexpected happens, they should leave. We understand. This time it was all because of Yuan Hua. Otherwise, no matter how powerful Zuolan was, it would be impossible for her to find them so easily. Must kill. Long Ao wanted to kill Yuan Hua. It didn't matter if Yuan Hua was their teammate or not. He had betrayed them time and time again. Just this point alone was enough to take his life. He sighed deeply. Brother Long, if it's possible. Before Ma Bai could finish speaking, Wang Xian had already said, Brother Ma Bai, we can forgive Yuan Hua for betraying us once, but he betrayed us again and again. Are we going to endure it forever? Xu Ling also said, since he doesn't treat us as brothers, why should we show mercy? Ma Bai was an extremely loyal person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken in Long Ao previously. After all, not every team was like the Black Wind team. If it was any other team, if they met someone like Long Ao who had just stepped into the Chaos Realm, not only would they not help him, they would even kill him for his belongings. Mo Ying looked at the 4 people who had already disappeared, and his face became gloomier. Once was an accident, but twice was still an accident? If he couldn't complete the mission this time, Mo Ying could imagine that once he returned to Lon Mountain City, he would be destroyed. The other party's spatial god artifact was very powerful. Even he couldn't lock onto it. Lord, what should we do now? Anger. Endless anger. All of a sudden, Mo Ying looked at Yuan Hua and asked coldly, who is this person? Long Ao just stepped into Jiu Tian not long ago. He came from below. Brother Ma Bai pitied him, so he let him join the Black Wind team. As for Long Ao's origin and secrets, I'm not too sure. Mo Ying stared at Yuan Hua in front of him and sneered, it's too troublesome to ask like this. It seems like I have to search his soul. Search his soul? Hearing Mo Ying's words, Yuan Hua was completely scared out of his wits because he knew better than anyone what a soul search meant. Once the soul was searched, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. In this man-eat-man world, being crippled was worse than death. Lord, I've already told you everything I know. Without giving Yuan Hua a chance to continue, Mo Ying had already made his move and began to search his soul. His face became more and more solemn, and then Mo Ying's face became more and more surprised. Xianyuan sword, spatial artifact, and even strange flame. Everything was too sudden. After killing Yuan Hua with one palm, Mo Ying said with a smile, I'll immediately inform Lord about this. Long Ao saw everything that happened outside clearly. He didn't have the slightest bit of pity. In fact, as long as he took the risk, Longao was confident that he could bring Yuanhua back. After confirming that Mo Ying and the other two had left, Longao brought them out of the Chaos Palace. As soon as he came out, he said, Yuanhua was searched by the other party. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Ma Bai and the other two didn't know what to feel. Even Wang Xian and Chu Leng, who were the ones who wanted to kill Yuanhua, didn't say anything. Since Yuanhua was already dead, all grudges should end. Forget it. Yuanhua only has himself to blame. However, Brother Long, since the other party has already searched Yuanhua's soul, then there's no doubt that Zuelan already knows your secrets. Whether it's the spatial artifact, the strange flame, or the Xianyuan sword, Zuelan won't let them go easily. We have to leave 9 Netherworld Heaven as soon as possible. Ma Bai's meaning was very clear. Zuelan and Mist Mountain City's forces were too large and powerful. If they continued to stay, Zuelan would go crazy over the Refining God Tower's secrets and the temptation of these treasures. Therefore, the only way was to leave this place as soon as possible. It was easy to say, but it was difficult to actually do it. If the 4 of them wanted to leave 9 Netherworld Heaven smoothly, they would need an astronomical number of crystals. Longao thought for a moment and said, we have to kill second-rank spirit beasts as soon as possible. Only by obtaining more beast cores of second-rank spirit beasts can we leave this place as soon as possible. Otherwise, every minute we stay here will be another minute of danger. Chapter 2881. Killing a second-level spiritual beast was easier said than done. However, Ma Bai and the other two knew very well that the only way now was to kill more second-level spiritual beasts. Brother Ma Bai, how many second-level spiritual beasts do we need to kill to gather enough gems to leave Abysmal Heaven? I received news that a flying warship will pass by Abysmal Heaven in about a month. As for where it's going, I'm still not sure. Brother Ma Bai, how many gems does one person need? Wang Xuanxuan was overjoyed and couldn't wait to ask. If one person is in a low-class warehouse, it'll only cost 1 million gems. If it's a medium-class warehouse, it'll cost 10 million gems. As for the high-class warehouse, it's not for sale. Even Longao couldn't help but be shocked. 100 gems for one person, and it could only be in a low-class warehouse. Ma Bai continued, a second-level spiritual beast core costs 200,000 gems to 1 million gems. If we're lucky and kill a high-level second-level spiritual beast, it'll only cost 4 second-level spiritual beast cores. The medium-class warehouse was too much of a scam. If all 4 of them wanted to go up, it would cost a total of 40 million gems. What kind of concept was that? Mist Mountain City. Mist Mountain City had been restored to its original state. Even so, there were still people talking about it. The Blackwind Squad was a nameless squad. Any random god from the Blackwind Squad could easily annihilate the Blackwind Squad. But the result? The Blackwind Squad actually dared to kill the guards of the City Lord's mansion. They were really amazing. I wonder how the Blackwind Squad is doing now. Ma Bai is really powerful. He actually dared to kill the guards of the City Lord's mansion. I really admire him. Ma Bai isn't an impulsive person usually. What's going on this time? Why did he provoke the City Lord's mansion? No one knows what's going on. It's better not to talk about it. Such discussions could be heard everywhere in Mist Mountain City. City Lord's mansion. After receiving the news from Mo Ying, Zuelan wasn't angry. Instead, she was overjoyed. If she could snatch Xianyuan Booby's treasure, the heaven-defying strange flame, and a very powerful spatial artifact, no one below God King would be her match. She stood up. Looking at the endless void in the distance, Zuelan personally led several high gods and quickly left. Zuelan was already a peak over God. She was only a step away from becoming a god king. It was just a step away, but the difference in strength between the two was like heaven and earth. Other than the God-refining tower, if he could obtain what Mo Ying sent back, then even if he had just broken through to God King, he would still be able to contend against veteran God Kings. Time flew. 1 month later. After a month of fierce fighting, Mabai and the other 3 finally killed 8 second-grade spirit beasts and obtained 8 second-grade spirit beasts. He did a rough calculation. 8 grade 2 spirit beasts were more than enough to leave the 9 nether heaven. The most dangerous place was the safest place. After putting on a disguise, Longao quietly entered Mist Mountain City with the 8 level 2 spirit beast cores. No matter what, only in Mist Mountain City could 8 level 2 spirit beast cores be sold for a good price. Zhuolan wasn't in Lon Mountain City. Currently, no one in Lon Mountain City would have thought that Longao would dare to appear here. He was simply courting death. On a huge platform, tens of thousands of meters away from Lanshan City. Seeing Longao return safely, Mabai and the other 2 were pleasantly surprised. Brother Long, how much did you sell in total? 5 million crystal stones. If the 4 of us leave this place together, we can get an additional 1 million crystal stones. Good, good, good. In 2 hours, the flying warship will arrive. At that time, as long as we successfully board the flying warship and leave, even Zhuolan won't be able to lock onto us. Longao and the other 2 were pleasantly surprised. They were finally going to leave this place successfully. Before the flying warship arrives, let me tell you about the flying warship. The flying warship we are on has 2 overgods guarding it. Ordinary heavens wouldn't dare to provoke it. Overgods, not to mention the lower heaven regions, even in the middle heaven regions, they were overlords. For example, Zhuolan was a peak overgod. Once she became a god king, the status of Mist Mountain City would probably rise again. Longao didn't expect that a flying warship would have 2 overgods guarding it. Let's board the warship. Don't go to the middle warehouse. Once we are discovered, we will be killed immediately. Is there no way for us to enter? There is. You have to pay crystal stones. For example, 10,000 crystal stones for 2 hours. They had learned their lesson. If they wanted to survive in the chaotic realm, besides having great strength, crystal stones were also indispensable. Look, the flying warship is here. At this moment, a huge object slowly approached from afar. At a glance, it looked like several towering mountains connected together. It looked extremely majestic. This was the flying warship? The flying warship looked extremely slow, but it was actually very fast. In just a few seconds, the flying warship had arrived. The door opened, and a middle-aged man in red clothes came out. He said, "The warship will stay here for 5 minutes. Those who want to board, hurry up. This is the entrance to the lower warehouse. Those who want to board, please use the special passage over there." Damn, a special passage. Longao was helpless, but he had no choice. He could only pay 4 million crystal stones and enter the passage with Ma Bai and the other 2. They entered the battlefield. 5 minutes later, the flying warship continued to move forward. The space inside the warship was huge. The lower warehouse was quite good. There were many rooms next to each other. It looked like there were a lot of rooms. According to the rules of the warship, no matter how many people there were, as long as they were in a group, they had to stay in the same room. Fortunately, the rooms that the 5 of them were allocated were quite good. However, they still had to pay 100,000 crystal stones. Inside the warship, they couldn't reach their destination smoothly just by paying 4 million crystal stones. Once they entered the flying warship, they would have to spend crystal stones all the time inside the warship. The 5 of them squeezed into a small room. They were all very depressed. There was no need to think too much about it. The middle-grade warehouse was definitely much better than the low-grade warehouse. Unfortunately, the crystal stones they had to pay were 10 times more than the low-grade warehouse. 40 million crystal stones wasn't a small number. At least the current Black Wind squad couldn't take out so many crystal stones at once. They could only stay in the lower warehouse. 100,000 crystal stones only for 10 days. It's really a scam. 10,000 crystal stones a day, 1 million crystal stones only for 3 months. If we can't take out the crystal stones, we will definitely be kicked out. When that time comes, we will be kicked out of the warship. We will be in big trouble. Chapter 2882. Mabai thought for a moment and said, I heard that you can earn crystals on the flying battleship. Wang Xian and Chuleng weren't surprised at all. Earning crystals didn't mean that they could definitely earn crystals. Longao had 1,000,000 crystals on him. 100,000 crystals paid for 10 days of rooms. But thinking that 10 days was impossible, he took out another 500,000 crystals and paid for 50 days. 2 months. The 5 of them could stay on the battleship for 2 months. But they could only stay in their rooms. If they left their rooms, they would need crystals at all times. What a headache. Mist Mountain City. Zuolan and Moing had already returned to the city lord's residence. But Zuolan's face was very gloomy. Lord, according to the information we received, if nothing unexpected happened, Mabai and the other 3 have already left 9 Netherworld Heaven on the flying battleship. His face was getting gloomier and gloomier. Originally, he thought that he could obtain the Xianyuan sword and the strange flame. That way, he could use the God Refining Tower to break through to God King. But the result? He personally acted, and several high gods surrounded him, but Mabai and the other 3 still escaped. Humiliation. This was a huge humiliation. Primal Chaos Realm had a total of 99 heavens. Who knew which heavens the 4 had run to? Zuolan was very clear how bad the situation was. As long as the 4 were still in 9 Netherworld Heaven, he was confident that he could find them. After all, his status and power in 9 Netherworld Heaven was there. But in other heavens, not to mention him, even the ruler of 9 Netherworld Heaven wouldn't be able to reach into other heavens. The most helpless thing was that he didn't know which heavens the 4 had gone to. Continue searching. If you find any clues, report back immediately. Yes, Lord. Mo Ing was extremely terrified. Luckily, his master didn't act. Only Zuolan was left in the hall. Longao, I will definitely find you. On the flying battleship, I just received news that in 1.5 months, we will pass by Blackstone Heavenly Region. Why don't we disembark there? Continuing on the flying battleship was too expensive. If they couldn't earn crystals, who knew what would happen? Blackstone Heavenly Region? Longao was instantly overjoyed. It seemed like the Yun clan was located in the Qianquan city of the Blackstone Heavenly Region. He even said that he would think of a way to head to the Blackstone Heavenly Region in the future. Big Brother Mabai, I have a friend in the Blackstone Heavenly Region's Qianquan city. Let's get off there. He was very surprised. But after thinking about it, he felt relieved. It was impossible for Longao to be the only one to step into the primal chaos realm from Longao's starry sky. If that was the case, it was indeed a good thing. All right, 1.5 months later, we will be in the Blackstone Heavenly Region. Pung pung, pung pung pung, right at this moment. There was a knock on the door. Chuleng walked over and saw a middle-aged man standing outside. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and he had a murderous expression on his face. What can I do for you, sir? The middle-aged man said coldly, I'm short of money. Lend me 1,000,000 crystal stones first. I'll return it to you later. Borrow crystals? Could he get it back after lending it out? The 4 of them had not expected that there would be someone who would come to borrow crystals so openly. But the 4 of them were clear of the other party's strength. High-level middle god. Such strength was indeed far above theirs. Chuleng's face did not look too good as he said, Sorry, but we've already used up all our crystal stones to purchase the room. We're left with less than 10,000 crystal stones. If you need them, you can take them. 10,000 crystal stones? Ha ha ha. You motherf asterisk cur take me, Tong de Bao, as a beggar? Very well, you 4 had better wait for me. Tong de Bao turned around and left, seemingly extremely furious. He had not expected that a low-level middle god and 3 lower gods would dare to be so arrogant in front of him. What's going on? Wang Xian was completely dumbfounded. She had thought that as long as they did not leave the room, there would be no trouble. But by the looks of it, things were not that simple. Borrowing crystals? Seemed like this was really tyrannical. Mabai sighed helplessly and said, That's normal. The battlefield is just for us to ride. It doesn't guarantee our safety. It's fine as long as we don't damage anything here. Then if that person attacked us just now, wouldn't the battlefield be responsible? Mabai shrugged helplessly and said even more helplessly, the weak are prey to the strong. It's a very normal situation. That person just now was afraid of damaging things. Otherwise, Mabai did not continue speaking. But the meaning behind his words was very clear. If that person was not afraid of damaging things, that person would have already attacked. Once a high-level middle god attacked, things would become very troublesome. If there were 1,000,000 crystal stones, Mabai would definitely be willing to settle things peacefully. But in the end, they had already bought the room with 600,000 crystal stones. They only had 400,000 crystal stones left. Even if they took it out, the other party would not be willing. It was really a troublesome matter. Brother Mabai, what should we do now? I don't know, but we've been hiding in the room. I believe that the other party would not dare to do anything out of line. As long as we endure for a while, we will be able to reach the Black Stone Heavenly Region in 1.5 months. As long as they entered the Black Stone Heavenly Region, they would be fine. But 1.5 months was really a troublesome matter. But since things had already come to this, the 4 of them could only sit down and cultivate. Not long after, Tong DeBeo, together with a bald man, kicked the door open and said with a smile, "Brother, it's the 4 of them who are not willing to lend us crystal stones. So we can't recoup our capital." Recoup our capital? Could it be gambling? Longao had really learned something. He thought that in the chaotic realm, as long as one could become a warrior, they would only care about cultivation. He did not expect that there would be such a thing as gambling. The bald man sneered and said, "For friends, I, the bald man, have always liked to make friends. Previously, I lost so badly that I wanted to borrow 1,000,000 crystal stones from you. I heard from my brother DeBeo that you are not willing to lend it to me. Seems like you don't treat us as friends." Tong DeBeo was a high-level middle god and the bald man was a peak middle god. The 2 of them were not to be underestimated. If they fought with all their strength, Longao had 50% confidence that they could kill the 2 of them. But now, the situation was different. They were on a flying battleship. If other people found out the secret, it would be even more troublesome. Mabai smiled and said, "You too misunderstood. It's not that we are not willing to lend it to you. But we have already paid 1,000,000 crystal stones each, and we still have 600,000 crystal stones for the room. So, all our belongings are only 400,000 crystal stones. This brother asked for 1,000,000 crystal stones. We really can't afford it." Chapter 2883. 400,000 crystal stones? Hearing that the other party actually had 400,000 crystal stones, Tong DeBeo was completely furious. "Just now you said that you only had 10,000 crystal stones, but now you actually have 400,000 crystal stones. You're obviously playing with us." The bald man was also a bit angry. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Although the flying warship couldn't be destroyed at will, it didn't mean that they couldn't kill. As long as they didn't break anything, even if they died, no one would say a word. "If I'm not wrong, you should have more than 400,000 crystal stones." He waved his hand. The bald man stopped Tong DeBeo from continuing and said, "Whether it's true or not, leave 400,000 crystal stones and cut off an arm for each of you, and today's matter will end here. Cut off an arm and hand over the crystal stones." Even Mo Bai's expression changed a bit. He was extremely angry. But was anger useful? No matter where they went, they had to respect strength. If they had a fist, they could do whatever they wanted. If they didn't have strength, they would be beaten wherever they went. He suppressed the anger in his heart. Mo Bai was very clear that if he was impulsive at this time, then the 4 of them would probably end up worse. Reason suppressed impulse. "You two, we really only have 400,000 crystal stones. We'll give them all to you, and today's matter will end here. How about it?" "Humph." Tong DeBeo snorted heavily. If the 4 of them had just handed over 400,000 crystal stones, then it would have been fine. But just now, they said that they only had 10,000 crystal stones. Now they had 400,000 crystal stones. In Tong DeBeo's opinion, The four of them obviously didn't put him in their eyes. If he didn't punish the four of them, how could he stand on the warship in the future? Don't bargain with us. 400,000 crystal stones, plus an arm for each of you. Otherwise, even if I have to risk being punished by the warship, I'll still kill you. Mobai and the other two's faces instantly turned pale. Did they really have to cut off an arm? If that was really the case, not to mention the problem of face, it was something that they couldn't make up for. What should they do? Mobai and the other two were almost certain that the bald man and Tom DeBeo dared to be so unscrupulous because they definitely had connections with the patrol on the battlefield. Otherwise, how could they be so bold? We won't give you a single crystal stone. As for cutting off an arm, don't even think about it. Scram. Scram? Reject? After hearing Longao's words, Tom DeBeo, the bald man, and Mabai's trio were completely dumbfounded. Brother Long, don't be reckless. Mabai and the other two were very worried. Of course, they knew how powerful Longao was. However, it was virtually impossible for him to kill a high-level god and a peak god. Taking a step back, even if he could kill the two of them, once the patrol found out about what had happened here, the consequences would be obvious. Tom DeBeo laughed out loud. Very good, very good. The two of us have never seen such an arrogant person. Brat, if you have the ability, come with us to the life and death arena. If I lose, I will give you 10 million crystal stones. If you lose, not only will you have to hand over all the crystal stones you have, you will also have to leave your life behind. How about it? Life and death arena. As the name suggested, on the flying warship, it was inevitable that there would be some grudges. Under the premise that the warship was not damaged, the only way was to go to the life and death arena. Here, you could fight to the death as much as you wanted. Even if you died, no one would pursue the matter. As for other places, most people were not willing to make a move. Not interested. Longao was no fool. Although he was very confident in his own power, if he didn't use the strange flame and the Xianyuan sword, there was no way he could kill a high-level god. Neither the Xianyuan sword nor the strange flame could be casually revealed. If the patrol or the two sovereigns of the warship found out, it was easy to imagine what it would mean. If I kill you, we won't have any trouble. Baldy Tom DeBeo, what are you doing here? Right at this moment, a man who was at least 267 meters tall walked over. His fiery red clothes were very eye-catching. It was the patrol of the battlefield. Although this patrol was only a low-level god, neither Tom DeBeo nor the Baldy dared to casually offend him. Their attitudes were as respectful as they could be. The patrol's power might not be much, but he had a powerful backer. Whoever dared to offend the patrol would be chased out of the battlefield. In the worst case, they would be killed without mercy by the experts on the warship. Brother Yi, the four of them didn't take us seriously. I just wanted to teach them a lesson. The red-cloaked patrol coldly glanced at Mabai's group of four and said coldly, the four of you had best know your place. Otherwise, even if you die, no one will ask. What was the meaning of this? Longao's group of four were no fools. They could clearly sense that this patrol was completely biased towards the two of them. However, there was nothing they could do. Who told them to be on the warship? The two of you should restrain yourselves. If the higher-ups find out, it'll be hard for me. Open and above board. The Baldy laughed mischievously. He gave the red-cloaked patrol a look, and the red-cloaked patrol left. If they still didn't understand what was going on, then Longao's group would have lived in vain. The four of you have seen it. Even the patrol can't save you. It's best if you cut off your arms and hand over all your crystal stones. We brothers are magnanimous and won't bicker with you. Otherwise, when the time comes, it won't be as easy as cutting off your arms and handing over your crystal stones. The Baldy was used to being tyrannical. Of course, he wouldn't leave just like that. What kind of joke was this? If he didn't teach the four of them a lesson, how could he and his brothers survive in the lower-class cabin in the future? Mabai's group of three's faces became more and more gloomy. The three of them had already compromised in their hearts. Although their hearts were filled with unwillingness and anger, Cutting off their arms and crystal stones was nothing compared to the so-called life. The two of them had colluded with the patrol. They couldn't gain any advantage in this matter. There was also no place for them to reason with, so it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. Wang Xian even had the heart to die. In the end, she was still a girl. If her arms were cut off, how could she face others? However, when she thought about how if she didn't do this, she would be killed by the other party. She might even be raped. Just thinking about it made her feel terrified. Give us 1 day. When the time comes, we will give you 10 million crystal stones. Alright, I want to see what kind of tricks you want to play. The Baldy and Tong de Bao didn't put the 4 of them in their eyes. In any case, they were all food on the table. They wanted to see what kind of tricks the other party could play. In the end, the 2 of them treated the 4 of them as mice and were preparing to play a game of cat and mouse. Chapter 2884. 10 million crystals? Hearing Longao's words, Mabai and the other 2 had no idea what was going on. Why was Longao acting like this for no reason? If they couldn't hand over 10 million crystals in a day's time, they could imagine what the consequences would be. Within the room, Brother Long, what are you planning to do? The 3 of them knew Longao's personality very well. If he wasn't completely confident, he wouldn't be so rash. Could it be that Longao had a way to deal with this? But when they thought about how the other party was a god and a high-level one at that and a peak one at that, the 3 of them felt a deep sense of helplessness. I'm going to cut the weeds and pull out the roots. Cut the weeds and pull out the roots. The 3 of them were frightened by Longao's idea. Wang Xian said helplessly, Brother Long, we can't do it by ourselves. And if you kill the 2 of them, I'm afraid. Wang Xian's meaning was very clear. Even if Longao could borrow the power of the strange flame to cut the weeds and pull out the roots, if the battlefield was damaged slightly, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao smiled mysteriously. In the following period of time, Longao began to set up a formation. After thinking it over, in the end, he decided to use the formation to deal with the 2 of them. After all, only a formation could silently kill the 2 of them and cut the weeds and pull out the roots. This is unbelievable. Brother Long, aside from being a second-level alchemist, you're also a formation master. It seems that Longao isn't just a formation master, he's even a second-level formation master. What a second-level formation master meant, the 3 of them knew better than anyone else by 10,000 times. After setting up the formation for an entire day, Brother Long, what is the name of the formation you set up? 3 lives, 3 deaths god-slaying formation. Longao was very confident in the formation he had set up. Unless a high god came, he would be able to kill even a peak god with the help of the formation. Originally, he hadn't wanted to use the formation. After all, if word of this got out, it wouldn't do him any good. But now, the situation was clearly different. If he didn't use the formation, it would be impossible to kill the 2 of them. Brother Long, are you confident? Absolutely. The next day, Baldy and Tong de Bao slowly walked over. 10 million crystal stones was not a small number. The 2 of them were very clear that if they did not have 10 million crystal stones, the 4 of them would not dare to say such a thing. Tong de Bao said fiercely, if they can't take out 10 million crystal stones today, I will cut the 4 of them into 8 pieces. The bald man nodded and said, when the time comes, let's make it quick. Don't destroy the room. Otherwise, even if we have a good relationship with the inspector, I'm afraid he won't be able to protect us. On a flying warship, the inspector was not the biggest. This matter, in particular, could not be known by the 2 over-gods. Otherwise, not to mention them, even a high god would not be able to escape death. Boom. The door was violently kicked open. Looking at the 4 people who were already waiting for him, Tong de Bao smiled and said, it seems that you have prepared 10 million crystal stones. Why don't you take it out? We can spare your lives, but you still have to leave your arms behind. Tong de Bao had always been domineering. The reason he did not kill the 4 of them was because of the inspector. Otherwise, one could imagine what would happen. Other than 10 million crystal stones, We have even better treasures. But it's better not to let others know. Otherwise, we will be in a lot of trouble. The two of you, we will hand over the treasures. We only hope that you will not make us leave our arms behind. Also, we will follow you in the future. Thump. After the door was closed, the attitude of the four people immediately changed completely. They did not care at all. The two of them did not put the four people in their eyes at all. What a joke. Among the four of them, the strongest was only a beginner mid-god. Not to mention the two of them working together, even one of them could easily deal with the other party. In front of absolute power, all schemes and tricks were jokes. We did not intend to go against you, but you have gone too far. Don't blame us for not being polite. Not being polite? Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha ha ha. Hearing the other party's words, it was as if they had heard the funniest thing in the world. Both Tom DeBeo and the bald man laughed crazily. If it were other people, their laughter would definitely attract the attention of the other rooms.
But now?
There was no movement in the surroundings. But the two of them did not notice it. Strictly speaking, the two of them did not care at all. I've seen people who don't care about their lives. But I've never seen people who don't care about their lives as much as you guys. Since that's the case, don't leave your arms behind. Leave your lives behind. They attacked as they pleased. In the eyes of Tom DeBeo and the bald man, the four of them were not even ants. In the next second, the situation changed. The room that was normal just a moment ago suddenly changed. A sandstorm blew up, and the sun, moon, and stars were flipped. This was a flying warship. Where did the sun, moon, and stars come from? The two of them were no fools. To be able to survive on this warship for so long, they were not only strong but also had extremely good eyesight. Looking at the situation around them, the two of them knew that they had entered a formation. The other side actually had a formation master. This was something that the two of them had never imagined. Moreover, the two of them could clearly sense that the formation they were in was a second-level formation. A second-level formation was an existence that could kill a mid-level god. No wonder the other side was so rampant. It turned out that they had something to rely on. If they had known that the other side had a second-level formation master, the two of them would not have offended them. The status of a second-level formation master was higher than that of a peak mid-level god. Even ordinary factions would rather recruit a second-level formation master than provoke a peak mid-level god. This was the status of a second-level formation master. However, it was clearly too late for regrets. The bald man suddenly said, "The four of you, it seems that there is some misunderstanding between us. How about this? Let's sit down and have a good talk. We are willing to take out 1,000,000 crystal stones as an apology. How about it?" Strength was respected. The fist was the absolute truth. If not for the fact that Longao was a second-level formation master and had already set up a second-level formation to trap the two of them, the three of them knew very well that the other side would definitely not let this matter go. They would also not take out 1,000,000 crystal stones. Longao's group of four also entered the formation. Looking at the two in front of them, he smiled and said, "Do you think that we will let you leave?" Cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots to prevent future troubles. Longao naturally knew that if he chose to let the two of them off so easily, it would cause a lot of trouble. At that time, if a red-clothed investigator was drawn out, it would be very troublesome. Could it be that you really think that you can deal with the two of us by relying on this face-breaking formation? Are your brains damaged?
Don't be so shameless.
Chapter 2885. He didn't want to waste any more words. Longao had already activated the formation. 3 lives, 3 deaths, Godslaughter formation. Sand danced wildly all around them, as though numerous sharp swords were wildly attacking the two. The inside of the formation and the outside of the formation were 2 completely different environments. Outside the room, there was no movement at all. No one would have thought that within the room, a life and death battle was taking place. We admit defeat. Whatever you want, just say it. Longao didn't want to waste any more words. Although he could use the formation to deal with the two, the bald man was still a peak god. His power was extraordinary. The battle went on for more than an hour. The formation in the room had already disappeared. Looking at the two corpses in front of them, Mabai and the other two still hadn't reacted. A high-level god and a peak god had died just like that in a short hour. Was this real? Even though they had seen it with their own eyes, they still found it hard to believe. A heart-burning flame lotus appeared in his hand, and he directly burned the two corpses. The two of them are pretty rich. They have more than 20 million gems. Longao didn't take all the gems for himself. He divided the 20 million gems into 4 portions, one for each person. Mabai and the other two didn't stand on ceremony at all. They hadn't expected that this would be a blessing in disguise. Not only were they not in any danger, each of them had acquired nearly 5 million gems. 5 million gems.
What kind of concept was that? These are some deity-level gems.
As for the formation and pill recipes, as well as the various spiritual herbs, I won't stand on ceremony. No need to stand on ceremony with us. Longao didn't stand on ceremony at all. After all, even if he gave these things to Mabai and the other two, they wouldn't be of much use. Instead, they would benefit from it. What Mabai and the other two needed the most were still gems. Longao had never imagined that these two, mere gods, would be so rich. 20 million gems was enough for the 4 of them to squander for a very long time. Especially now. They didn't need to worry about not having enough gems, and thus being kicked out of the flying warship. Mabai put away the 5 million gems, then said worriedly, "Although we succeeded in killing 2 of them, if this matter were to be leaked, we would still be in a lot of trouble. Thus, once we reach the Blackstone region, we'll immediately leave. As the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry." It was better to be safe than sorry. If this matter was leaked out, who knew what would happen? How could Longao not know about Mabai's worries? He smiled. "We've already destroyed the corpses. No one noticed the battle before. No matter who asks, we won't admit it." He refused to admit it. Shrugging helplessly, Mabai smiled and said, "Since things have already come to this is the only way." As expected, the next day, Inspector Yi suddenly came into the room and asked the 4 of them, "Let me ask you for a question. Have you seen Baldi and Tong DeBeo?" The 2 of them had a good relationship with this person, and he had given them many benefits every year. Naturally, this person did not want anything to happen to the 2 of them. The 4 of them felt their hearts skip a beat, but on the surface, there was not the slightest bit of abnormality. Mabai smiled and said, "Lord Inspector, we haven't seen the 2 of them since yesterday." "Really?" The inspector's face was very gloomy. He said coldly, "Someone told me that they saw the 2 of them come here yesterday and never leave. Could it be that you killed them?" "Lord Inspector, you must be joking. With the power of the 4 of us, how could we possibly kill 2 gods?" It really wasn't very likely. Although the inspector suspected the 4 of them, it really wasn't very likely. Regardless of whether it was Tong DeBeo or Baldi, any one of them was not in existence that the 4 of them could contend against. He stared fixedly at the 4 of them, but still didn't discover anything amiss. "If you discover the 2 of them, come find me. Remember, don't cause any trouble for me." "I understand." Mabai quietly handed over 2 million crystals to the inspector, then said in a low voice, "Please take care of us, Lord Inspector. As long as we live well, Lord Inspector will live well as well. Money makes the world go round." 2 million crystals was definitely not a small sum. The inspector laughed and said, "You've done well. In the future, no one will come looking for you. Only every month." Every month. 2 million crystals. Ha ha ha, smart. Ha ha ha. Along with the laughter, the inspector quickly left. Wang Xian and Chulung were used to this. After all, no matter where they went, this kind of situation would happen. Longao took out 4 million crystals from his bosom and gave it to Mabai, saying, "Brother Mabai, take these crystals. Give him another 2 million crystals, and we'll be able to smoothly reach the Blackstone heavenly region." "I can't take it, Brother Mabai, unless you don't treat me as one of your own." Mabai was very clear about Longao's personality. He didn't say much and took the 2 million crystals. In the following period of time, the four of them didn't casually leave the room. After a month and a half, they would be able to smoothly reach the Blackstone Heavenly Region. A month later, as expected, the Red Coat Inspector came again. Mabai didn't hesitate at all. In order to not cause trouble, he immediately gave the 2 million crystals that he had prepared to the inspector. After successfully receiving the crystals, the inspector left with a smile. Every month, they would receive 2 million crystals. If this continued, no one would be willing to let anything happen to the four of them. After sending off the inspector, Mabai said helplessly, "There's still half a month before the ship arrives at the Blackstone Heavenly Region. At that time, we won't have to continue falling." Once someone like the patrol inspector was provoked, it would not be easy to get rid of him. If the patrol inspector remained on the battlefield for a few months, it would be fine. However, after a long period of time, even Mabai and the other three would find it hard to bear. 20 million crystals could only last for 10 months at most. Longao and the other two sighed. They had finally made it through. Fortunately, they were about to enter the Blackstone Heavenly Region and get rid of the 9 Netherworld Heavenly Region. No matter how strong Zwilan's forces were, they wouldn't be able to find the four of them. There were less than 10 days left before the Blackstone Heavenly Region. Dozens of inspectors came to the room of Longao and the other three. Among them was the inspector with the surname Yi. Mabai's heart thumped. Could it be that the news of Longao killing the two had been leaked out? It didn't seem possible. After all, this matter was done secretly. How could it be known by others? Thinking of this, Mabai smiled and said, "Sirs, is there anything you need from the four of us?" "Do the four of you know where Baldi and Tongdebeo have gone?" the oldest and strongest patrol envoy asked in an indifferent voice. "How could the four of us know?" "Sirs, you must be joking." Chapter 2886. Is that so? The inspector let out a cold snort. A month ago, someone personally witnessed Baldi and Tongdebeo enter your room. Ever since then, they haven't left. Can you give me a reasonable explanation? Longao sighed to himself. Although they had done it very covertly, it wasn't easy to keep it hidden forever. But what made Longao curious was that 2 gods didn't seem to be enough to attract the attention of several dozen inspectors. Could it be that there was something fishy about them? "My lord," waving his hand, the inspector said, "The four of you, come with me. The 2 sovereigns want to see you."
Huh?
To them, sovereigns were lofty existences. Let alone Longao. Even Mabai and the other two had noticed that something was off. But 2 people had attracted the attention of 2 sovereigns. Something was definitely off. But the 4 of them didn't dare to refuse. If they dared to say even half a word, they would be obliterated. They followed the inspector into a courtyard. The surroundings were very elegant, and the spiritual chi of the world was very abundant. Cultivating here was an absolute pleasure. "Lord Sovereigns, the 4 of them have arrived. You can leave." "Yes." 2 people sat in the courtyard, an old man and a middle-aged man. The 2 of them were the 2 sovereigns guarding the flying warship. They were Du Lei and He Zhongtian. "The 4 of you are the Black Wind Squad, the ones wanted by Zwilan?" Hearing the inspector's words, the 4 of them were extremely shocked. After all, very few people knew about this, especially on the flying warship. But since things had already come to this, Mabai didn't plan on keeping it a secret. He nodded and said, "Yes. Tell me, why is Zwilan hunting you down? I don't believe that you have the guts to kill a guard of the city lord's estate in Mist Mountain City." What a powerful person. Mabai and the other 3 knew very well that if they didn't answer this question properly, they would probably be killed. "Lord Sovereigns, we did indeed kill someone. As for whether or not he was a guard of the city lord's estate, we don't know." Du Lei and He Zhongtian stared at the 4 of them. After a while, they nodded to express their belief. The 2 sovereigns did not know anything about the god-refining tower. They were just curious. The 4 members of the Black Wind Squad were just an ordinary squad. How could they dare to kill the guards of the city lord's mansion? How reckless. The biggest possibility was that the Black Wind Squad didn't know the other party's background. We won't interfere in the grudge between you and Zwolon. Hearing the Lord God's words, the four of them finally heaved a sigh of relief. They were afraid that the two sovereigns would intervene in this matter. If that were the case, then things would really be troublesome. Where are the two of them? Could it be that the two sovereigns knew? Or were the two of them doing this on purpose? Their purpose was to expose the truth. In fact, the two of them did not know either. Two great gods, Baldi and Tongdebeo, did come to find us before, but they never came again. We don't know where they are. Is that so? The two master gods looked on coldly as they unleashed terrifying might from their bodies. Now that he had broken through to the overgod level, he was able to comprehend the power of space. His terrifying aura suppressed the four of them. Even so, the four of them still didn't act strangely. Once the two of them discovered something fishy, they would definitely die. Seems like they really don't know. After the two of them entered their room a month ago, no one saw them again. Could the two of them have disappeared into thin air? Although the two sovereigns did not say anything, they had already begun to suspect the four of them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have called them over this time. I'll give the four of you one last chance. We really don't know. Even if you kill us, we won't know. The two sovereigns were indeed furious. If it were anyone else, then so be it. Even if 2,000 or even 20,000 people died, it would have nothing to do with them, let alone two people. No matter what, there were at least several million people on the flying warship. 1 or 2 people was nothing. However, it was different for Baldi and Tongdebeo.
They had only just found out about this.
Otherwise, they would have attacked long ago.
Why would they wait until now?
The two sovereigns had a rough estimate of Tongdebeo and Baldi's strength. Under normal circumstances, even if the four of them were to join forces, they wouldn't be a match for any one of them. They didn't really believe that the two of them were killed by the Black Wind Squad. You guys leave first. Don't leave the warship for now. Yes. After the four of them left, Dulé asked, Brother He, what do you think about this? He Zhongtian thought for a moment and said, according to my judgment, it shouldn't be them. It seems like the two of them found out that something was wrong. But that's not right. The warship never stopped. It's impossible for them to leave even if they wanted to. It was too strange. It was as if the two of them had disappeared into thin air. Everything had been fine before, but after they went to look for the Black Wind Squad, something happened to the two of them. They would never believe that it had nothing to do with the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad. Hold on to the 4 of them. If there's no other way, we'll bring them back. Okay? When the 4 of them returned to the room, Longao gave them a look and said via spiritual sense, we've been targeted by them. If I'm not wrong, even if we reach the Blackstone Heavenly region, we won't be able to leave this place. In the end, regardless of whether we have anything to do with this matter, they'll kill the 4 of us. Mabai and the other 2 had already guessed this outcome. They weren't surprised at all. They were even a little desperate. The flying warship was different from Mist Mountain City. If they were in Mist Mountain City, they could still escape. But on the flying warship, they would definitely die. Not to mention the others, just the 2 sovereigns were not to be trifled with. Seeing that the 3 of them didn't speak, Longao knew what they were thinking. He continued to say via spiritual sense, don't worry. With me here, even if they are sovereigns, they won't be able to kill us. Is that true? If it was someone else who said this, the 3 of them wouldn't believe it. But for some reason, the person who said this was Longao. He was a monstrous genius who possessed the Xianyuan sword and heavenly flame. He was only a junior lower god, but he could already kill a mid-god. Just this point alone was something that countless people couldn't do. Brother Long, please. Brother Long, our lives are in your hands. You must bring us out of the warship smoothly. Longao smiled and didn't say anything else. Actions spoke louder than words. If there was no other choice, he would bring the 3 of them into the Chaos Palace even if it meant risking danger. Chapter 2887. The room of the four was being closely monitored. More than 20 patrols patrolled back and forth without any gaps. Just as Longao had guessed, even if the flying warship arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly region, the two overgods would not allow them to leave the warship casually. In the end, they were killed by the two overgods. Within the room, Longao was very curious. They were just two unimportant people. Why were the two overgods so nervous? There was definitely something fishy going on. Could it be that there was something fishy about the two of them? Lin Fan took out their space rings and carefully inspected them. Under such circumstances, they could not enter the Chaos Palace at all. Otherwise, if they were discovered, they would be in big trouble. Lin Fan had not noticed their space rings before. Apart from crystals and a few deity-level items, there did not seem to be anything precious. Could it be because of this eggs? Within Tong Debao's space ring, Longao discovered an egg that was emitting a black glow. It was not too big, only the size of a palm. At a glance, it was completely unremarkable. As for the bald man's space ring, there was only a black of light. Longao knew very well that if he took out these two items here, the overgods might discover them. His instincts told him that the two overgods were most likely looking for these two items. Brother Mabai, I'm going to enter the space artifact. I think I know why the two overgods are looking for Tong Debao and the bald man. Brother Long, if you enter the space artifact, the two overgods will discover that your aura is not here. At this point, Mabai did not continue. However, the meaning behind his words was very clear. I have an idea. Longao smiled mysteriously and immediately entered the Chaos Palace. However, before entering, Longao had already left his aura in the room. He was extremely confident that even the two overgods would not be able to discover anything strange about him. Within the Chaos Palace, Longao looked at the little black egg before him curiously. This was because even he could not sense what level of spiritual beast was inside the little black egg. As for the black of light beside the black egg, he was even more curious. The two overgods should not be looking for the little black egg. They should be looking for this black dot of light. Right at this moment, the black light spot was suddenly sucked into Qin Shuangshuang's body, not even giving Longao time to react. Inside the room, the two overgods abruptly opened their eyes. Du Lei cursed viciously. Looks like this has nothing to do with the four of you. Baldy and Tong Debao actually dared to devour the power of the light spots. If I catch them, I'll rip them to shreds. The two of them could clearly sense that the black speck of light they were searching for had already disappeared without a trace. It was too late to say anything. Initially, he thought that this matter had something to do with the four members of the Black Wind Squad, so he had been keeping an eye on them. Now, as the black light disappeared, the four of them did not have the slightest abnormality. This in itself already showed that there was nothing wrong with the four of them. It seemed like the two of them had secretly left the warship.
Until now,
neither Du Lei nor He Zhongtian knew how Tong Debao and Baldy had secretly left the battlefield. It was too strange and inconceivable. How did he do it? Other than anger, there was nothing else they could do. Because they couldn't find the two of them, there was nothing else they could do. Within the primal Chaos Palace, Longao was shocked. He did not know why Qin Shuangshuang would devour the black speck of light. Even after checking it over and over again to ensure that there were no negative effects, he still could not set his mind at ease. Seems like the black speck of light has some great benefits for Shuangshuang. Longao realized that the moment the black speck of light was devoured by Qin Shuangshuang, it turned into countless black specks that were scattered all over her body.
surprise.
After devouring the black speck of light, Qin Shuangshuang's body started to take a turn for the better. This was especially the case for her essence spirit, which was now 2 times stronger than before.
Just what sort of change was this? Crack, crack, crack.
Just as Qin Shuangshuang's body was changing, the little black egg beside her started to let out cracking sounds as well. Seemed like it was about to break out of its shell. Even though Longao did not know what sort of spirit beast was within the little black egg, he still dripped out a drop of essence blood and dripped it gently onto the little black egg. In just a few short seconds, the essence blood had completely fused into the little black egg. Not long after, crunch, 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 crunch. The black furry little thing seemed to be something out of place. It looked like a dragon, a tiger, a chelan, and a vermilion bird. Anyway, at a glance, Longao did not know what kind of spirit beast it was. He had never seen such a spirit beast. Level 2. Sensing that the black thing before him was a level 2 spirit beast, Longao was completely scared out of his wits. That was because he knew better than anyone else what a level 2 spirit beast meant. A level 2 spirit beast was equivalent to a middle god martial artist. To think that it would be a middle god right after it broke out of its shell. If it were to grow up, Lin Fan would not even dare to think about it. Seemed like he had truly picked up a treasure. Tong DeBeo had obtained this black egg, but he had not managed to hatch it. That was why he had not received the approval of this little fella. At the end of the day, Lin Fan was just lucky to have picked up a bargain. If Tong DeBeo had not died yet, Lin Fan did not know if he would have died from anger. "I'll call you Little Black from now on." Little Black nodded his head happily. Immediately, he leaped into Longao's embrace and nudged him with his little head. But suddenly he thought of something. Longao's face turned terrible. Other than Qin Shuang, there did not seem to be any other human or spirit beast who could stay in the Chaos Palace for more than a day. If that were the case, if he were to bring this little fella out of nowhere, who knew if he would cause trouble? Let's give it a try first. Longao left the Chaos Palace and left Little Black behind. A day later, he confirmed that Little Black could stay in the Chaos Palace as well. Longao guessed that it must be because he had fused with Little Black's essence blood. Otherwise, how could Little Black stay in the Chaos Palace for more than a day? Half a month later, the flying warship finally arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly Region. Originally, the two overgods had changed their mind and decided not to stop at the Blackstone Heavenly Region. Instead, they would directly return to the Middle Heaven region. As for the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad, they would kill them without mercy. However, since the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad were fine, it made no difference whether they were killed or not. As soon as the warship stopped, Longao and the other 3 had already left the room. Until now, the 4 of them were still in a state of confusion. They did not know what the 2 overgods meant. Who knew if the 2 overgods would suddenly attack them? After all, the 2 overgods were too powerful. They did not even have the slightest chance to retaliate. Chapter 2888. Do you think the 2 overgods will make a move on us? Who knows? There were a lot of people getting off the ship. At a glance, there were over 1,000 people, including Longao and the other 3. The ship's door slowly closed. At this moment, Longao and the other 3 finally let out a sigh of relief. They finally left the ship. Brother Mabai, why do you think the 2 overgods suddenly chose to give up? Not to mention Wang Xian. Even Chu Lung didn't know what happened. Probably because they don't want to make a big deal out of it. Forget it. We finally arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly Region. We can relax now. The 4 of them felt like they had just survived a disaster. Brother Long, I wonder where your friends are? It was just that they had just arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly Region. It was a good thing to have acquaintances. Qianquan City, Yun family. There were people everywhere. Longao stopped one of them and asked with a smile, "Sir, do you know anything about the Blackstone Heavenly Region?" The old man smiled and nodded. "Little brother, ask away. As long as I know something, I will tell you everything." So easy to talk to. "Sir, do you know where the Qianquan city of the Blackstone Heavenly Region is?" There were a total of 99 heavens in the Chaos Realm. Regardless of whether it was the 33 lower heavens, the 33 middle heavens, or the 33 upper heavens, the territory of each heavens was boundless, and the number of cities in each heavens was not small. According to Yun Shi, the Qianquan city could only be considered a weak city in the entire Blackstone Heavenly Region. After all, the 3 clans didn't have a single overgod in the Qianquan city. Within the 3 clans, there were only 3 high gods.
What kind of concept was that?
You're talking about the Chinquin city. I do know about it. The old man took out a map and said, the location of the Chinquin city is on this map. If we walk from here, we will reach it in about a month. A month's time was nothing to a martial artist. Thank you. Longao took out 10,000 crystals and gave it to the old man. He then led the three of them and left quickly. Their destination was the Yun family of the Chinquin city. On the flying ship, Du Lei and He Zhongtian were still unwilling to give up. If they could obtain the light spot, their cultivation would definitely improve. But in the end, they didn't even get a single hair. Brother Du, I don't know why, but now that I think about it, I still feel that there's something wrong with the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad. Brother He, please speak. He Zhongtian thought about it and said, the battlefield is airtight. Let alone the 2 of them. Even you, and I can't leave unless we open the door. Are you saying that Tong de Bao and Baldy were killed by the Black Wind Squad? Not likely. Even now, Du Lei still couldn't quite believe that this was true. Letting the 4 of them go this time is probably the biggest mistake we've ever made. Then what should we do? Capture the 4 of them. If there's no other way, search their souls. Soul searching was a little too damaging. No matter who it was, unless it was a last resort, no one was willing to perform a soul search on a cultivator. Once his soul was searched, it would be a huge hindrance to his future martial arts. The reason why Mo Ing wanted to search Yuan Hua's soul was because he didn't want to continue his breakthrough. Otherwise, it would be hard to say if Mo Ing would be willing to do so.
Sigh.
Although soul searching can help us find out what we want to know, it's a little too damaging. It will be a huge hindrance to our future martial arts. How could I not know about this? Otherwise, I would have searched their souls regardless of whether it was the 4 of them who did it. What do you mean? The ship will stay in the Blackstone Heavenly region for a while. The 2 of us will go and see what's going on. That's the only way. The 2 of them were extremely regretful now. If they forced the 4 of them to stay, even if they didn't search their souls, they could at least do whatever they wanted. They didn't have to wait until now. The 2 of them were dumbfounded. The Blackstone Heavenly region was too big. It wouldn't be easy to find the 4 of them. 1 month later, Qianquan City. Among all the cities in the Blackstone Heavenly region, it was at most a medium-sized city. There were 3 major clans in Qianquan City. They were the Yun clan, the Yi clan, and the Ling clan. The 3 clans were about the same in strength. Each clan had a high god. Yun clan, Yun Di, Yun Lu, and Yun Xian were forcefully brought back to the Yun clan by Yun Shi. The moment they stepped into the Yun clan, Yun Xian was forced to cultivate in seclusion. Everyone in the Yun clan had high hopes for Yun Xian, because Yun Xian's talent was obvious to all. She was also someone who had the potential to become a high god. If Yun Xian could really become a high god, then the Yun clan would have 2 high gods. What kind of concept was that? Once the Yun clan had 1 more high god, then they would be able to suppress the other 2 clans. In the courtyard, Yun Shi sat quietly. Since returning to the clan, Yun Shi seemed to have changed into a different person. Xiao Shi, what's wrong? You've been in a daze all day. Did something happen? Yun Yi, Yun Shi's father, was also the eldest son of the Yun family patriarch. He was a pinnacle medium god, and was only 1 step away from becoming a high god. Unfortunately, Yun Yi had not been able to break through this step for several hundred years. Seeing her father, Yun Shi smiled and said, "Father, I'm fine. I'm just a little lazy."
Lazy?
Yun Yi wanted to laugh. How could he not know his daughter? If other people were lazy, he would believe it. Only his daughter would not be lazy. Yun Yi could guess that his daughter must have something going on. She just did not want to tell her father. Xiao Shi, the matter of the legacy is over. Don't think too much. If there's anything, just tell me. Yun Yi had asked Emperor Yun and Yun Lu in private. However, the 2 were tight-lipped. He could not get anything out of them. Yun Yi did not want to force the 2 heroes of the Yun clan. After all, Yun Lu and Emperor Yun were willing to stay in the starry sky for so many years for the sake of the clan. If it were anyone else, they would not be able to do it. Father, I'm really fine. Yunshi did not care much about the starry sky, especially the legacy, because the three clans had all passed on the legacy. If her father knew about it, who knew what would happen? Young miss, someone wants to see you outside. He says he's your friend. Yunshi asked lazily. What's his name? Longao. Longao? Yunshi's face lit up. She stood up abruptly and said anxiously, Bring him in. Here.
Go.
Chapter 2889. Yes, Mississippi, looking at the surprised Xiaoxi, Yunyi was surprised. Her daughter had never been like this before. Could it be that her daughter was like this because of this person? Not long later, Longao and the other three were brought in. Longao, why are you only here now? I thought you didn't come to see me. When Longao saw Yunshi, he was pleasantly surprised to the extreme. Ever since he came to the Chaos Realm, there were strangers everywhere. Mabai Trio could be considered as his new brothers. Only Yunshi and the others were his old friends. Sister Yun, I was sent to Abysmal Heaven the first time I entered the Chaos Channel. I just arrived in Abysmal Heaven by flying warship. After a month, I finally entered Cosmos City.
He sighed.
Sister Yun, let me introduce you. This is Brother Mabai, Brother Chu, and Sister Xian. They are all good friends I made in Abysmal Heaven. Hello, since you've come to my Yun family, please stay here. As if thinking of something, Yunshi immediately introduced with a smile. Brother Long, this is my father. Hello, uncle. Yunyi didn't say anything. She carefully looked at the young man in front of her. Intermediate lower god. He could break through to intermediate lower god as soon as he stepped into the chaos realm. Such talent was not bad. Could it be that her daughter liked this guy? Although his talent was not bad, in Yunya's opinion, Longao was far from being worthy of her daughter. In the Yun family, her daughter was the pride of the heavens. Her future husband would at least be a dragon among men. But Yunyi didn't say much. She smiled and said, Since you're Xiaoxi's friend, you're also a guest of the Yun family. You can stay here without worry. Yun, she continued to stay. Brother Long, tell me quickly. What have you encountered during this period? Yun she knew very well what each heaven meant. Especially Longao, who had just stepped into the chaos realm. It must be dangerous. To be able to reach here smoothly was a very lucky thing. Longao did not hide anything. He roughly recounted what had happened to the few of them. The more she heard, the more shocked she was. Little brother Long, don't worry. This is the Black Stone Heavenly Region. No matter how powerful Zuolan is, it's impossible for him to put his hands here. Regarding this point, the few of them had already guessed. Sister Yun, I want to ask you for a favor. Beg? Yun she glared at him fiercely and said, If you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to beg. Longao felt as though he was a big sister to Yunshi. He was extremely touched. After all, if it were anyone else, upon hearing that he had offended sovereign god Zuolan, they would have chosen to avoid him long ago. Sister Yun, I hope that Brother Mabai and the other two can join the Yun family. This was what Mabai and the other two wanted. First of all, Yun Shi and Longao were friends. If they joined the Yun family, they would probably be treated well. Secondly, they had been running around for so many years and were a little tired. Especially after this incident, the three of them also wanted to join a family or sect. Thinking about it, the Yun family was indeed a good place to go. No problem. I will arrange for the three of them to be Emperor Yun's subordinates. I will definitely treat them well. I believe in Sister Yun. Longao did not doubt Sister Yun in the slightest bit. If he did, he would not have handed the three of them over to Sister Yun. He felt guilty towards the three of them. Even at this moment, Longao still felt a little guilty. After all, if not for him, Brother Mabai and the other two would not have had to do this. Joining the Yun family was not a bad place to go.
Thank you, Missy.
Mabai and the other two were extremely happy in their hearts. They already knew that Emperor Yun was Longao's friend as well. Not only that, the relationship between the two of them was somewhat special.
Men.
Missy. Bring the three of them to Uncle Yun. Tell him everything that has happened here and arrange it properly.
Yes.
Ma Bai and the other two left as well. It was only then that Yun Shi asked, if the three of them join the Yun family, what about you? Are you not going to join the Yun family? Yun Shi knew Longao well. Be it his talent or the legacy of Xian Yuan, no matter where he went, he would definitely be treated with the best. If Longao could join the Yun family, that would be the best. Apart from that, Yun Shi also had some personal feelings. As for what was going on with her, even Yun Shi herself did not know. How could Longao not understand Sister Yun's intentions? Sister Yun, to be honest, I don't want to stay in one place forever. He did not want to be bound. He wanted to be free. Longao had already thought about this before. Yun Shi sighed deeply in her heart and said helplessly, Brother Long, even though you are unwilling to join the Yun family, it shouldn't be a problem for you to become the guest elder of the Yun family, right? Of course. The meaning of being a guest elder was simple. He did not have to stay in the Yun family all the time and could even repay Yun Shi's kindness. This was the outcome that Longao wanted the most. Naturally, there would not be any problems.
Dusk.
The Yun family. Within the main hall, the patriarch of the Yun family, Yun Long, was seated at the head of the table. He was also a high god, the only high god of the Yun family. He was one of the three high gods of Cosmos City. He himself was very powerful. It was precisely because of this Yun Long that the Yun family was able to become one of the three great clans of Cosmos City. Below him was Yun Yi, as well as his two younger brothers, Yun Bo and Yun Tianlai. The two of them were both gods, but one was an early-stage god while the other was a mid-stage god. Hearing Yun Shi's words, Yun Bo immediately said angrily, Little Shi, have you gone mad? If you want to become a guest elder of our Yun family, you have to at least be an early-stage god. And our Yun family only has a few guest elders. This Longao you just spoke of is only a mid-stage demigod. How could he be qualified to become a guest elder of our Yun family? Second brother is right. Little Shi, a guest elder is no small matter. Don't get your personal feelings mixed in. If one became a guest elder of the Yun family, one would be able to enjoy proper treatment. If it were a god, that would be one thing. After all, a god's power was there for all to see. However, for a puny demigod, a mid-stage demigod at that, to become a guest elder of the Yun family and enjoy the treatment of a guest elder, to say nothing of the two of them, most likely the entire Yun family would not be willing. Naturally, Yun Shi would not reveal that Longao had received Xuan Yuan's legacy. After all, she knew very well what it would mean if this matter were to be revealed. Not just Yun Bo and Yun Tianlai, even Yun Shi's father, Yun Yi, was a bit unhappy. In his ability, he didn't want his daughter to get too close to Longao, much less allow him to become a guest elder. This was completely challenging the bottom line of the clan. Not even Yun Shi would allow it. Chapter 2890. Lil Shi, this is impossible. Father. She waved her hand. Naturally, Yun Yi couldn't allow Longao to stay. As for the three people Longao had brought with him, she didn't say much. After all, one god and two demigods would be of great help to the clan.
Grandfather.
Yun Long laughed. Lil Shi, grandfather knows that you are interested in this Longao. But just as your father, second uncle and third uncle said, the matter of being a guest elder can be big or small. Yun Long's meaning was very clear. He refused. Yun Shi fiercely stomped her foot, then turned and quickly left. You will regret this. Seeing Yun Shi run out, Yun Long's expression was very ugly. He said, What is going on? Yun Yi did not dare to conceal the slightest bit and recounted the previous matter in full detail. It seems that this old man guessed correctly. Lil, she has taken a liking to this kid. But this sort of liking is a bit too blind. Father, I know what to do. Quickly resolve this.
Yes.
Within Yun Shi's courtyard. Seeing Yun Shi return, Longao said with a smile, Sister Yun, I just met with Senior Emperor Yun and Uncle Yun Lu. They treated Ma Bai and the other two very well. I really have to thank you for this. Looking at the youth in front of her, Yunxi felt very guilty, but more than that, she was angry. Sister Yun, what is it? I just want to find grandfather, father, second uncle, and third uncle. It's about you becoming a guest elder of the clan. Yunxi looked as if she wanted to say something, but hesitated. This in itself already explained everything. Longao was no fool. How could he not see that something was wrong with Yunxi? He laughed. Longao said casually, "It's fine. My relationship with Sister Yun will remain unchanged. As for the guest elder position, it's not necessary. Sister Yun, there's no need to trouble yourself over this." Longao had long since guessed that this would be the result. It was a complete joke. No matter what, the Yun family was one of the 3 great families of Cosmos City. They were high and mighty, and he was only a mid-level low god. How could the Yun family possibly agree to let him become a guest elder of the Yun family? Unless the Yun family had water in their heads. In just a few short months, Longao had broken through from a beginner demigod to a mid-level demigod. Longao was completely confident that within a month, his cultivation would continue to advance, and he would become a high-level lesser deity. Such a cultivation speed was indeed monstrous. Yunxi smiled bitterly. I'm the one who thought too simply. He felt helpless. If such a genius could become a guest elder of the Yun family, Yunxi could imagine that in the near future, when Longao grew up, the Yun family would also rise. However, his grandfather, father, and the others couldn't see this at all. If you care, you will be in a mess. Longao shrugged helplessly and didn't say anything. The next day. May I know why Senior Yun is looking for me? Looking at the man in front of him, Longao had already guessed why Yunyi was looking for him. It seemed that he couldn't continue to stay in the Yun family. As expected. Longao, I trust that you've already guessed why I've come looking for you. You and I are both smart people, and I won't beat around the bush. Ma Bai and the other 2 will receive the best treatment in the Yun family, and the Yun family will also vigorously nurture them. As for little Shi's feelings for you, aside from the feelings between siblings, there is nothing else. Yunyi shook his head. Laughing, he said, You don't understand, little Shi. In all these years, I've never seen her treat any man like this. You are the first. What do you want me to do? Leave the Yun family and live anywhere in Cosmos City. In the future, if possible, you can leave Cosmos City as well. He wasn't surprised in the slightest. He had already guessed what Yunyi meant. I can't leave for now, but I will definitely leave Cosmos City in the future. As for what you said just now, I can do it immediately. Smart person, Yunyi really liked Longao in her heart. His decisive character. However, when she thought of her daughter, she knew that she absolutely couldn't like such a person. Yunyi knew that she had to be like this. She absolutely couldn't have the slightest sloppiness. Here are 1,000,000 crystal stones. You can take them. Longao stood up and didn't say anything else. If Yunyi didn't take out the crystal stones, he might have thought highly of Yunyi. But now, there was no need to say anything more. Yunyi let out a deep sigh as she watched the figure gradually leave. Being in the Yun family, there were some things that were beyond his control. If it wasn't for the Yun family, his daughter wouldn't have done this easily when she finally found someone she liked. Cosmos City. Although Cosmos City wasn't much in the entire Blackstone Heavenly region, it was still very big. The entire city square was very lively. It could be described as a sea of people. The biggest reason why Longao didn't want to leave Cosmos City was because he wanted to help Yunxi break through to the lower god realm. No matter how powerful a peak lower god realm was, he was still a lower god. If he could break through to the middle god realm and reach the peak middle god realm, it would be a completely different concept. Longao? In the city square, Ling Ruai saw Longao from afar. She was shocked. Because of the primordial spirit oath, she couldn't reveal that Longao had obtained Xianyuan Bubi's inheritance. However, after such a long time, she had heard that Longao didn't enter Cosmos City. It seemed like he was sent to another place in the chaotic world. But now Longao was here. It seemed like the Yin family treated Longao well. Ling Ruai saw Longao, and Longao saw Ling Ruai too. He turned around and left. No matter what, Ling Ruai and he were enemies in the vast starry sky. If it wasn't because of him, Ling Ruai and Yihan wouldn't have fallen to such a state. They didn't even get anything, and even lost their men. Longao, wait. We are old friends. Aren't you willing to say hello to me? Ling Ruai walked quickly. Many people looked at her curiously. After all, Ling Ruai was quite famous in Cosmo City. Ling Ruai came in front of Longao and said with a smile, "We served different masters before. We must be enemies. Since what happened before is over, are you still holding a grudge?" One would not hit a smiling person. Even if we aren't enemies, we can't be friends. Why are you looking for me? You didn't go to the Yin family? Why should I go to the Yin families? Ling Ruai was very smart. However, she didn't point it out. Instead, she said, "Since I have nothing to do, I want to walk around with you. You can't reject such a request, right?" Longao was curious. He didn't know what Ling Ruai wanted to do. However, he nodded and replied, "I can't ask for more." Chapter 2891. Ling Ruai, there's something I'm curious about.
Tell me about it.
I hope I can answer it for you. Ling Ruai's attitude took a 180-degree turn. It was as if she had changed into another person. Since you have reached the peak of lower deity, you should be able to become a middle deity if you buy the condensation elixir. One condensation elixir cost 10,000 crystal stones. For a warrior at the peak of lower deity, 10,000 crystal stones for one condensation elixir was too cheap. Longao had always wanted to ask this question, but he did not have the time to ask Mabai and the others. Speaking of condensation elixir, Ling Ruai's face turned pale. She sighed deeply. Thinking of condensation elixir, Ling Ruai said helplessly, "You don't know. The condensation elixir and other elixirs sold in the market are not very expensive, but their effects are not very good." Longao was very clear about this. The condensation elixir that he made was not comparable to the other condensation elixirs sold in the market. "I have taken thousands of condensation elixirs, but I still can't break through. It's because these elixirs are not very effective. Even if they are mixed with beast elixirs, they are still the same. It's very difficult to buy a good condensation elixir. Even if there is one, the price is very high and there is no market for it. So that's why. There are too few alchemists in the chaotic realm, especially those who are good." Longao also sighed endlessly. He was only a level 2 alchemist, but the elixirs that he made, especially the condensation elixir, could help a warrior at the peak of lower deity to become a middle deity. "You want to buy condensation elixirs?" "Not yet." Ling Ruai did not think much about it. After all, Longao was only a middle lower deity. There was still a long way to go before he reached the peak of lower deity. It was impossible for a middle lower deity to break through to the peak of lower deity without dozens of years, or even hundreds of years. Longao, what happened before has been written off. What do you think? No problem. No matter where one was, there were no eternal enemies and no eternal friends. Longao did not want to be Ling Ruai's enemy. The reason why he stayed here was to help Sister Yin to break through. Ling Ruai smiled. "Longao, you've already received Xianyuan Bubi's inheritance. I'm sure you'll become a godly emperor in the future. I want to be friends with you." Qian was the only one who knew about the War Emperor's inheritance. Even Ling Ruai and Yihan did not know about it. "Do you think it's okay?" He sighed deeply again. "I need your help, but I don't know if you're willing to do it. Do you want to see what it is?" Ling Ruai seemed to be a little shy. She said softly, "My family can't help me buy a high-grade condensation pill. Other than that, there's only one other way. It can help me break through the peak of the lower deity stage and become a middle deity." "What is it?" Longao also sighed endlessly. No matter what, the Ling family had always been one of the 3 great families of Qianquan City. With their strength, they couldn't even obtain a single high-grade condensed pill. But thinking about it, it made sense. If the three great families could obtain a high-grade condensed pill, then Yunxi, Ling Ruoi, and Yihan would have broken through the peak of the lower deity stage and become a middle deity. I want to do dual cultivation with you. In that case, I'll definitely become a middle deity. Cough, 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 cough. Hearing what Ling Ruoi said, Longao coughed violently. He had never thought that Ling Ruoi's idea was dual cultivation. Are you not willing? Ling Ruoi was very confident about her appearance. Normal people could not resist her appearance. Since she had taken the initiative, Longao would definitely agree as long as there were no accidents. But what was the result? Longao smiled and shook his head. He said, I'm sorry. I'm not interested. Why don't you look for Yihan? He seems to be interested in you. Humph. Ling Ruoi snorted. She thought that Longao was playing hard to get. But looking at the expression on Longao's face, she wondered if he was really not willing to do dual cultivation with her. Could it be that her charm had decreased? Longao, I'm not joking with you. I won't hide it from you. You've already inherited the War Emperor's legacy. If we do dual cultivation, not only will I be able to break through the middle deity stage smoothly, I'll even be able to go further in the future. Using her body to exchange for power. He had to admit that Ling Ruoi was going all out in order to obtain power. He shook his head helplessly. Longao did not look down on Ling Ruoi because of this. After all, if one wanted to survive in the chaotic world, power was everything. With power, one would be able to survive no matter where one went. If one did not have power, then sorry, one would be beaten up no matter where one went. Ling Ruoi, I've said it just now. I can forget about what happened in the past. We can also be friends. But I won't agree to dual cultivation. I can tell you one more thing. Although I've received Master Xianyuan's sword and 9 god-slaying swords, I haven't inherited his legacy. You don't have to ask. I won't tell you who the legacy is. Ah. How could Ling Ruoi not know that Longao was not lying to her? If that was the case, then who had inherited the War Emperor's legacy? After all, the person who had inherited the War Emperor's legacy could become a divine emperor in the future. Could it be Yun Shi? Or Emperor Yun? Or Yun Lu? If Longao did not say it, she would not be able to guess it. She said, You're really generous. Do you know what the War Emperor's legacy means? How could she not know? Longao smiled and said, Everyone has different thoughts. I want to walk my own path. Walk his own path. Ling Ruoi's eyes lit up. It seemed that she had underestimated Longao. But thinking about it, it was true. If it was not for Longao in the land of inheritance, all of them would have died. They would not have been able to return safely. Since you don't want to, then I won't force you. But you've said it just now. We're friends, not enemies. As you wish. Ling Ruoi was a very scheming woman. Longao did not want to deal with this kind of person. But the situation was a little special now. It was better to avoid trouble. If it was not for Sister Yun, he would not have continued to stay in Qianquan City. Ling Ruoi, if you treat me as a friend, then call me Ruoi. Longao was helpless. He could only say, Ruoi, I have 3 condensation elixirs. If you can afford it, I can sell them to you. What do you think? Condensation elixir? Ling Ruoi did not have any hope for the condensation elixir. Chapter 2892. High-level pills were fine too. Ling Ruoi had taken thousands of pills before, but she still could not break through to become a middle god. It was not just her. Even Yihan and Yun Shi were the same. High-level pills were hard to come by. Longao, do you think I still need to condense pills? You'll know if it's useful after you try. Ling Ruoi stared at the young man in front of her. She knew that Longao would not do this if he was not confident. Longao was very confident in his own condensed core. Mo Bai had swallowed the pills to break through from a lower god to a middle god. Before he left, he gave Wang Xian and Shu Leng 3 pills each. When they reached the peak of the lower god level, they could break through after taking the pills. As for Sister Yun, she was cultivating. How many realms does one pill need? Since you're my friend, I'll give you 3,500,000 crystal stones for each pill. I only need 10 million crystal stones for 3 pills.
What?
Ling Ruai was really angry. She really wanted to be friends with Longao. A normal pill only needed 10,000 crystal stones, but Longao wanted 10 million crystal stones. Wasn't it too much? Longao did not say anything. He just looked at her quietly. She gritted her teeth. Ling Ruai took out 10 million crystal stones from her space ring and said fiercely, I really want to be friends with you. If you don't want to be friends with me, just tell me. Longao took the 10 million crystal stones from Ling Ruai and took out 3 pills. He said, we'll see if you can break through in 3 days. She was doubtful. Okay, I'll come and find you in 3 days. Ling Ruai saw that Longao did not seem to be lying. She nodded and left quickly. Yun family. After consuming 3 condensation pills, Yunxi had successfully broken through from pinnacle low-level deity to beginner mid-level deity in just 2 days. The cultivation that had been bothering her for decades had finally broken through. Not only Yunxi herself, but even Yunlong, Yunyi, and the others were pleasantly surprised. Yunxi's talent was obvious. She was the most talented after Qian Er.
Right now.
Yunxi's cultivation had already successfully broken through to the beginner mid-level deity stage. At this rate, it was very likely that Yunxi would become a high-level deity in the future. Inside the lobby, everyone gathered in the hall and looked at Yunxi in front of them in surprise. Cloud Dragon coughed twice and said with a smile, Lil, you really gave Grandpa a pleasant surprise. From now on, the family will cultivate you with all our strength until you break through to the peak of the mid-god realm. Grandpa, the reason why I was able to break through to become a god was entirely because I swallowed a condensation pill. Condensing a core? It was actually core condensation? However, everyone was very curious. After all, Yunxi had taken quite a few condensation pills in the past. However, she had not been able to use the condensation pills to successfully break through to become a medium god. Xiaoxi, what's going on? Xiaoxi, could it be that you've obtained a high-level condensed pill? That's not very likely either. According to what I know, there's no 100% certainty in condensing a high-grade pill unless you can fuse with a high-grade rank 2 beast pill. Yunxi felt very uncomfortable in her heart. Because even Yunxi did not expect that the 3 condensed pills that little brother Long gave her would really allow her cultivation to smoothly break through to become a medium god from the peak of the lower god realm within 2 days. Previously, Longao had asked her for some random pill recipes. At that time, she did not pay much attention to it. Now that she thought about it carefully, the biggest possibility was that Longao had already become an alchemist. Moreover, he was a rank 2 alchemist. In the entire Qianquan city, only the Pill Hall branch had a rank 2 alchemist in charge. Moreover, his position was very high. The condensed pills and purple gold pills that he refined were not high-grade rank 2 pills. The condensed pills that the Pill Hall's rank 2 alchemist refined, not to mention 3 condensed pills, even if he swallowed 30 condensed pills, he would still not be able to break through. From this, it could be seen that Longao himself had already reached the peak of rank 2 alchemist. Moreover, he was able to refine high-level condensed pills. These 3 condensed pills were given to me by Longao. He is a rank 2 alchemist.
What?
Rank 2 alchemist? And a rank 2 alchemist who can refine high-level condensed pills? Hearing that Longao was actually a rank 2 alchemist, Long Yun and the others were completely stunned. After all, everyone knew what a rank 2 alchemist meant. If the Yun family could have a rank 2 alchemist, it would mean a lot to the Yun family. A rank 3 alchemist could refine high-level condensed pills. However, every rank 3 alchemist was a high and mighty existence. How would they have the time to refine condensed pills? A peak rank 2 alchemist's position was very high. At least in Qianquan City, his position was comparable to a superior god. Yunlong, Yunyi, and the others were very regretful. If they knew that Longao was a rank 2 alchemist and a peak rank 2 alchemist at that, they would have kept this person no matter what. No wonder she liked this person. Yunyi smiled awkwardly and said, Longao did not leave Qianquan City. Shi, why don't you go and recruit him? We can promise to give him the status of a guest elder. A peak rank 2 alchemist was more than qualified to become a guest elder of the Yun family. Although she was very uncomfortable in her heart, she did not say anything. After all, she was a member of the Yun family. Everything had to be considered for the benefit of the Yun family. If Longao could become a guest elder of the Yun family, it would be a very good thing for the family and for Longao himself. After she left, Yun Long sighed and said, It seems that we were wrong this time. I really did not expect that Longao would actually be a peak rank 2 alchemist. If he could refine condensed pills of this level, then Qianquan City would belong to our Yun family in the future. Father, previously we chased Longao out of the family. What if Longao does not agree? Don't worry. With Shi around, Longao will definitely choose to join the Yun family. Everyone in the Yun family still did not know the relationship between Longao and Yun Qian. Originally, Longao wanted to see Yun Qian, but he heard that Yun Qian was in seclusion. Moreover, it was seclusion, so he did not disturb Yun Qian. Qian had already received the inheritance of the Battle Emperor. If nothing unexpected happened, Qian would be able to reach the Divine King level in the future. As for how far she could go, it all depended on her. After she left the Yun family, her face was extremely gloomy. This was because she already knew that her father had chased Longao out of the family not long ago. At that time, she was in seclusion and did not know about this at all. Now, she did not know how to face Longao. Chapter 2893. Longao had 10 million crystal stones from Lingruai. It was a piece of cake for him to settle down in Qianquan City. For the time being, he rented a house with its own entrance. In the following days, Longao prepared to make some top-level level 2 elixirs. For example, elixirs that could allow a middle god to sense a domain. Not to mention a level 2 alchemist, even a level 3 alchemist would not be able to make such an elixir. Longao could not wait to become a level 3 alchemist. He kept taking elixirs. In just 3 days, Longao's cultivation had broken through from a middle-level lower god to a high-level lower god. Such a cultivation speed was a bit abnormal. 3 days later, Ling Ruai came over in surprise. As soon as she entered the house, she said happily, Longao, I did not expect that the 3 elixirs you gave me would really help me break through to a middle god. Thank you. He smiled. The effect of the elixirs is not much. Besides, the reason why you could break through to a middle god in just 3 days is because of the energy in your body. Do you still have more elixirs? Ling Ruai was extremely excited. If she could continue to buy more elixirs, it would be a great help to the Ling family. 3 elixirs could create a middle god. If she could take out 30 elixirs, wouldn't she be able to create 10 middle gods? What kind of concept was that? She was very excited just thinking about it. Longao knew what Ling Ruai meant. He laughed and said, I do have more elixirs. But I have already said that I treat you as a friend. That's why I sold you 3 elixirs. As for the rest, Longao's meaning was very clear. He was very disappointed. It is because we are friends that I hope you can help me. You should know what a middle god means to my family. Qianquan City, 3 big families. Each of the 3 big families had an upper god. There was no distinction between them. In fact, the 3 big families competed in the number of middle gods. But after many years of development, the number of middle gods that the 3 big families had was about the same. If they wanted to suppress them completely, they had to create more middle gods. It was easy to think about it, but it was difficult to do it. Longao did not want to interfere with the 3 big families, especially when Sister Yun was still in the Yun family. He would not help the Ling family to deal with Sister Yun. She seemed to be able to guess what Longao was thinking. Ling Ruai smiled and said, The Yun family is snobbish. They don't know how to keep you here. I know your value. If I'm not wrong, you should be a level 2 alchemist, right? Since things had already come to this, there was nothing to hide.
Yes.
Just as expected. Ling Ruai could not believe that Longao was really a level 2 alchemist. He was even a top level 2 alchemist. How long had Long of the chaotic realm? Genius. Ling Ruai was sure that Longao was definitely a genius in alchemy. He was also a genius that was rarely seen in 10,000 years. Longao, you are already a middle-level alchemist. I want to ask you, do you have the confidence to become a middle-level alchemist? The difference between a rank 2 alchemist and a rank 3 alchemist was just too great. A rank 3 alchemist, not to mention in Qianquan City, even in those super large cities, was a figure that everyone would fight over. Their status was comparable to that of a lord god. Longao did not say anything. He just smiled. What did he mean by smiling? Ling Ruai was not stupid. She knew what Longao meant. Before coming, Ling Ruai had guessed that Longao might become a middle-level alchemist. But she did not hear it from him.
She found it hard to believe.
If the Ling family could recruit a level 3 alchemist, it would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Ling family to rise up. Longao, I would like to invite you to join the Ling family. I can promise you that you will get everything you want. Also, the Ling family will support you. What do you think? I am not interested. Soon, I will be leaving Qianquan City. A hidden dragon rising to the sky. Ling Ruai knew that Longao was not an ordinary person. He would definitely soar to the sky in the future. But she did not want to let go of this rare opportunity. Longao, I am only inviting you to be the guest elder of the Ling family. Although you are already a middle-level alchemist, it will not be easy to become a middle-level alchemist. Longao did not say anything. To become a middle-level alchemist, you will need to refine elixirs many times. The spiritual herbs and beast pills needed to refine level elixirs are still unattainable for you. Longao did not say anything. He had to admit that Ling Ruai was telling the truth. His alchemy skills had reached a critical point. If he wanted to become a middle-level alchemist and become a middle-level alchemist, he would need to refine elixirs many times. But no matter if it was spiritual herbs or beast pills, they were still unattainable for him. If the Ling family could really provide him with these, he would be able to stand firm in the chaos world when he became a middle-level alchemist. As if she could guess what Longao was thinking, Ling Ruai's face was extremely serious. She solemnly said, I can promise you that as long as you become the guest elder of the Ling family, no matter if it is spiritual herbs or beast pills, they will all be available to you. This will help you to become a level 3 alchemist. Alright, I promise you. It was impossible for him to become a middle-level alchemist by himself. But with the help of the Ling family, it would be a different story. Alright, I will bring you to the family now. Ling Ruai was afraid that Longao would go back on his words. She immediately brought Longao back to the Ling family. As expected, the head of the Ling family, who was also Ling Ruai's grandfather, Ling Lan, already knew about this. He was very friendly and agreed to all of Ling Ruai's requests. It was undeniable that alchemists were very popular in the chaos world. The Ling family, Ling Lan, Ling Ruai, and Ling Hao, Ling Ruai's father, were all in the main hall. The three of them were discussing how to help Longao become a middle-level alchemist. As one of the three big families in Qianquan City, the Ling family had an immeasurable amount of wealth. No matter if it was spiritual herbs or beast pills, they were all very rich. Uncle, your cultivation has already reached the peak of the middle-level deity? Ling Hao sighed deeply when he heard Longao asking about his cultivation. He said helplessly, Nephew, you may not know this. It has been 300 years since I reached the peak of the middle-level deity. No matter what method you use, it will not help me become a superior deity. Not even the enlightenment pill? Chapter 2894. Comprehension Pill? Speaking of comprehension pill, Ling Hao became even more bitter. Normal comprehension pills are not very useful, unless you are lucky. As for high-level comprehension pills, they are not sold in Chinquin City. As for other places, no one knows where to buy them. Level 3 pills, no matter the rarity or price, were not something a level 2 pill could compare with. After all, there were very few level 3 alchemists and very few level 3 alchemists. In the end, there were too few alchemists. If I can become a level 3 alchemist, I will definitely help you make a few comprehension pills and help Uncle to become a superior god. Thank you. Longao was not as surprised as he expected. After all, it was still unknown whether or not Longlan could become a level 3 alchemist. Ruai, go and arrange my nephew's residence.
Yes.
Looking at the departing figure, Longao said, Father, what do you think about this? Linglan nodded and said, This kid's talent is something I have never seen before. I am afraid he will become a level 3 alchemist very soon. Linglan sighed deeply again. Father, you should know that 70% of alchemists, even if the pills they make are infused with beast cores, the effect is not very good. Even if Longao can become a level 3 alchemist to make a high-level comprehension pill, I am afraid. Longao did not continue speaking, but the meaning of his words was very clear. The pills made by an inscription alchemist are the real pills. But to become an inscription alchemist is too difficult. Regardless of whether it was Longao or Linglan, they both sighed helplessly. The difference between an inscription alchemist and a normal alchemist was too big. They were not even on the same level. The value of a level 2 inscription alchemist far exceeded that of a level 4 normal alchemist. This was the difference between an inscription alchemist and a normal level 2 alchemist. It was a pity. To become an alchemist was 1 in 10,000. And to become an inscription alchemist, it was 1 in 100. Longao, it is a pity that you're not an inscription alchemist. Otherwise, not to mention a level 3 inscription alchemist, even a level 2 inscription alchemist would not be comparable to a normal alchemist. What is an inscription alchemist? Longao really didn't know what an pill mark alchemist was. Ling Ruai was not surprised at all. After all, Longao had just come from the starry sky. He did not know many things about the chaos world. Pill veins are the pinnacle of alchemy. Unknowingly, the two of them had already arrived at their residence. He had to admit it. The Ling family really treated Longao well. Just this residence alone, the surroundings were very elegant. Other than a few servants, almost no one would come to disturb them. Continue. Longao really wanted to know about the pill mark alchemist. Ling Ruai smiled and continued, It's very difficult to become an alchemist. It's even more difficult for an alchemist to become an alchemist with markings. It took Ling Ruai 2 hours to finish her lecture. The difference is really big. Longao was very surprised. In other words, ordinary alchemists and pill veins alchemists could refine pills of the same grade. One was like the sky while the other was like the earth, so the difference in efficacy was like the difference between heaven and earth. The status of a Tier 4 alchemist was not as high as a Tier 2 pill mark alchemist. Looking at the sky from the bottom of a well. According to what you said, ordinary alchemists are not real alchemists. They're just half-baked alchemists. If you want to become a real alchemist, you have to obtain markings. That's right. That's also why the medicinal pellets sold on the market, other than being cheap, don't even have a tenth of the efficacy of a real medicinal pellet. So that's why. Longao finally knew the reason. It could be said that he was not a real alchemist now. How do I obtain markings? Refining pills. Keep refining pills. As long as heaven and earth recognizes you as an alchemist in the process of refining pills, you'll be given a corresponding grade of markings. If you have a Tier 1 markings, you'll be a Tier 1 alchemist, and so on. I'm going to start refining pills. Ling Ruai had already guessed that Longao would do this. She also hoped that Longao would be able to obtain markings and become an alchemist with markings. In that case, the status of the family would be greatly improved because of Longao's existence. Longao, I've prepared a large amount of Tier 2 spiritual herbs and Tier 2 beast pills for you. You should continue refining Tier 2 pills and try to obtain markings as soon as possible. As for Tier 3 pills, Even if you can become a Tier 3 alchemist, your status will still be lower than a Tier 2 pill mark alchemist. Longao knew what Lingruai meant. He nodded with a smile and said, I know what you mean. I have the same idea too. I want to continue making level 2 medicinal pills. I must get the elixir pattern. He nodded. After Lingruai left, Longao did not hesitate any longer, because Lingruai had already told him how to obtain markings. Longao had full confidence in himself. No matter how difficult it would be, he must obtain markings and become an alchemist with markings, even if it was just a Tier 1 pill mark alchemist. According to Lingruai, there was not a single pill mark alchemist in Tranquil City. Even the Tier 2 alchemist in the Dan Hall was just an ordinary alchemist. In the main hall, have you arranged everything?
Yes.
Grandfather, Father, Longao is the guest elder that I have spent a lot of effort to get. You must treat him well. Don't let me down. Ruoi, you should know that an ordinary alchemist, even a Tier 3 alchemist, would not be of much help to the family. Even if he was a guest elder, the support he could provide would be limited. It would be impossible to sacrifice the entire family's benefits. What do you think? How could he not understand his father's intentions? Although ordinary alchemists were rare, due to the effects of the pills refined by ordinary alchemists, there was a huge gap between their status and that of an inscribed alchemist. They were simply not on the same level. However, Longao's situation was different. Father, my situation is the best example. The condensation pills that Longao refined, with just 3 condensation pills, helped your daughter smoothly break through to become a god. I know what you mean. Don't worry. Even if he could not become an pill mark alchemist, as long as he could become a Tier 3 alchemist, our Ling family will support him fully. Ling Ruai was relieved after hearing her father's words. It was not easy to get Longao to join their side. If she gave up on Longao because of her grandfather and father, she would not even have the chance to regret it. The Yun family was the best example. Ling Ruai could imagine how regretful the Yun family would be when Longao became an pill mark alchemist. She was excited just thinking about it. Chapter 2895. He closed his door and did not come out. Longao was fully immersed in making elixirs. He did not make level 3 elixirs. Instead, he focused on making level 2 elixirs. Just like what Ling Ruai said, what he needed to do now was not to become a level 3 alchemist. Instead, he needed to find a way to obtain elixir patterns. If he could not obtain elixir patterns and become an elixir pattern alchemist, then even if he became a level 5 alchemist, it would be nonsense. This was because the status of an ordinary alchemist was too low. Even the high-level ordinary alchemists were the same. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. She was very anxious. She had searched the entire Tranquil City, but still could not find any trace of Longao. Could it be that Longao had left Tranquil City? It didn't seem possible. She was very clear that even if Longao wanted to leave Tranquil City, he would definitely inform her. It was impossible for him to leave without saying goodbye. On this day, the Yun family suddenly received news that Longao, who they had been searching for, had become the guest elder of the Ling family. Yun Shi, who received the news, did not seem to be able to react. Anger. Originally, Longao had already joined the Yun family. It was all because of the short-sightedness of her grandfather, father, second uncle, and third uncle. They had missed a genius who was about to become a level 3 alchemist. Yun family main hall. Seeing the unhappy face of Yun Shi, Yun Bo smiled and said, Xiao Shi, although level 2 alchemists are rare, it is not that important. Not to mention level 2 alchemists, even if he is a level 3 alchemist, so what? Second uncle, think about the condensed elixir that Longao made. Success once does not mean that he will succeed every time. Xiao Shi, you should know very well that the elixirs made by ordinary alchemists, even if they are level 3 alchemists, cannot achieve even 1/10 of the effect of a real elixir. Yun Yi continued, second brother is right. If Longao obtains elixir patterns and becomes a level 2 alchemist with elixir patterns, then Yunxi did not wait for her father to finish his words and said, "Father, second uncle, you will regret your shamelessness today." After saying that, she turned and left. "Big brother, you should take care of Xiaoxi. She's too much. It would be great if we could recruit a grade 2 apothecary." However, it seems impossible for them to support him wholeheartedly, like the Ling clan.
Until now.
Yunyi and the others could not figure out why the Ling family valued Longao so much. Was it really because Longao was a rank 2 alchemist? An ordinary tier 4 alchemist was not even comparable to a tier 2 pill mark alchemist. It was impossible for the Ling family to not know about this. Full support. This was truly inconceivable. Yunyi and the others naturally knew what full support meant. It was because of this that they chose to give up on recruiting Longao. The Yun family couldn't afford to lose, and they definitely couldn't lose. That was indeed the case. That was why they chose to give up. Just as Yunyi and the others thought, Ling Hao and Ling Lan were gambling with the Ling family's foundation. If they lost this bet, it would be a huge blow to the Ling family. In the huge courtyard, Longao had refined grade 2 pills countless times, and he was successful every time. However, he had never been able to obtain the pill mark that he wanted. It was very depressing. What was going on? Let's try it once with the strange flame. Longao did not know what was going on. He suddenly thought of his strange flame. Could it be that his inability to obtain the pill mark was related to the strange flame? If that was the case, then the strange flame was the key. Longao had 2 types of strange flame. One was the primal chaos flame, whose ranking was unknown. The other was the heart-burning lotus that he had just obtained. Among the 23 types of strange flame, it was ranked 7th. The heart-burning lotus appeared in his palm as he continued to refine pills. Just as expected, Longao already knew that if he did not have the strange flame, he would have obtained the pill mark long ago. The problem was that he had the strange flame, but he had not used it to refine pills. Thus, he had not obtained the pill mark. It was just a simple attempt, but a strange force descended from the heavens and earth, and Longao's body was instantly covered with it. The pill was successfully refined. Longao looked at the strange pattern on the palm of his hand. He already knew in his heart that this was the pill veins that ordinary alchemists yearned for even in their dreams. Grade 2 pill mark. In other words, he was now a grade 2 pill mark alchemist. His status was much higher than a grade 4 pill mark alchemist. This was the status of the pill mark. Ruai, come in. Previously, because of the inheritance, Ling Ruai and he were enemies. However, after spending some time together, Longao gradually realized that Ling Ruai was a good person. She was someone who was worth befriending. The reason why he could successfully obtain the pill mark was because of the Ling family and Ling Ruai's help. Otherwise, the amount of spiritual herbs and beast cores that he needed would be astronomical. Ling Ruai walked in and looked at Longao, who looked good. She smiled and said, "It's okay that you failed this time. My father and I have discussed it. We are preparing more grade 2 spiritual herbs and beast cores for you. No matter how much we have to pay, we will let you obtain the pill mark." From Ling Ruai's point of view, it was almost impossible for Longao to obtain the elixir mark in just 10 days. Even the most talented alchemist could not obtain the elixir mark in such a short time. Longao smiled and said, "Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. My luck is not bad."
Ah?
Ling Ruai stared at the young man in front of her. She was completely dumbfounded. She could not wait and asked, "Longao, what level of pill mark did you obtain?" "Grade 2. Grade 2. It really is a grade 2 pill mark." Ling Ruai was very surprised. She knew very well what it meant to be a grade 2 pill mark. From now on, Longao's status would rise. Even her grandfather and father's attitude towards him would change. "Longao, congratulations on obtaining an elixir mark. With your talent in alchemy, I believe that it won't be long before you become a level 3 elixir mark alchemist. At that time, not to mention Qianquan City, Even in a super city, your status will not be comparable to an ordinary superior god. I have to thank you this time. What I said before still stands. As long as I become a grade 3 pill master, I will immediately make the enlightenment pill for you. There was a world of difference between the comprehension pill refined by a level 3 pill refiner and an ordinary level 3 pill refiner. If Longao could really refine a high-grade comprehension pill, then Father might really be able to break through to the High God realm. At that time, the Ling family would have High God Liang Wei as its overseer. They would be able to suppress the other two families. Thank you very much. However, becoming a third-grade pill mark alchemist is not an easy task. P.S. Here are 5 chapters. If you have a vote, please vote for Little 9. Chapter 2896. I'm going to continue making elixirs. Strike while the iron is hot. Although he had obtained a level 2 elixir pattern, it was not easy to become a level 3 elixir pattern alchemist, as Ling Ruoi said. I know what you mean. I have prepared all the level 3 spiritual herbs and beast cores for you. Longao was grateful. If it was not for the full support of the Ling family, he would not have been able to obtain the elixir pattern alchemist so quickly. Ruoi, here half of the elixirs that I have made. I'll give them to the Ling family. Ling Ruoi did not hesitate to give them to him. Even the Ling family could not afford to give out so many spiritual herbs and beast cores. Fortunately, the value of the elixirs was beyond their imagination. I'm here to look for you, because of something. Yun Shi wants to see you. It has been more than 10 days. Do you want to see her? Yes. Longao had a good impression of Yun Shi. The reason why he stayed in Qianquan City was to help Yun Shi. He felt helpless. Of course, Ling Ruoi did not want Longao to have anything to do with Yun Shi. However, she knew that it was impossible. Outside the Ling family. Longao, what happened? Why are you doing this? Ling Ruoi's face turned cold when she heard what Yun Shi said. Yun Shi, you have to understand that it was your Yun family that chased Longao out. He only became the guest elder of the Ling family. What's wrong with that? Yun Shi was furious when she mentioned it. Until now, her grandfather and father still did not know the seriousness of the matter. Even if she was willing, Longao would not go back. After all, it was the Ling family's fault. Longao, do you still see me as a friend? Of course. Then, why are you helping the Ling family? It was a headache. Longao was afraid of this kind of thing. Longao shrugged and smiled. Even if I become the guest elder of the Ling family, I will not do anything to the Yun family. Sister Yun, there are some things that you have to understand. He didn't want to dwell on this matter any longer. Longao, follow me back to the clan. No matter what price I have to pay, I will make you a guest elder of the clan. Before Longao could say anything, Ling Ruoi said, Yun Shi, are you out of your mind? Longao is already the guest elder of the Ling family. She totally ignored Ling Ruoi. Yun Shi stared at Longao in front of her and asked again, I'll ask you one more time. Are you willing to return to the family with me? Yun Shi's words made Longao very uncomfortable. Although he had a good impression of her, Yun Shi's words were indeed too much. I don't want to go back to the Yun family. Yunya's words were still fresh in his mind. Longao knew very well that even if he returned, he would not receive any special treatment. He might even cause Sister Yun to fall out with her family. Sister Yun, why must you do this? How could Yun Shi not know what Longao was thinking? The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. She was very disappointed and angry with her family. Her efforts were all in vain. No matter if it was Yun Shi or Ling Ruoi, because they had swallowed the condensation elixir, their cultivation had both broken through to the beginner level of middle god. Longao took out some elixirs and said, Sister Yun, these elixirs are enough for you to break through to the peak of middle god. As for the enlightenment elixir, I can't make it now. But when I make it in the future, I will definitely send it to you. You're leaving? Hearing Longao's words, Ling Ruoi and Yun Shi asked at the same time. The two of them could not understand why Longao wanted to leave. The chaos world was full of danger. Without absolute power, even if he was an alchemist, he might not be able to go anywhere. If I want to go further, I have to leave here. He had made up his mind. The two of them knew Longao's character very well. Since he had made up his mind, there was no turning back. Especially Ling Ruai, her heart was filled with bitterness. Ruai, I won't go back to the Ling family. When I, Longao, come back, it will be the day when you break through to the superior god realm. Trust me. I trust you. Ling Ruai felt strange. In the beginning, the reason why she was friends with Longao was because Longao had not only received the inheritance, but he was also an alchemist. But after spending some time with him, Ling Ruai realized that she seemed to have some other feelings for this little brother. Are you really going to leave? At this moment, Yunshi's attitude took a 180-degree turn. She was just like a little wife. When Ling Ruai saw Yunshi's expression, she knew that Yunshi might have fallen in love with Longao. She felt uncomfortable, but she did not say anything. I will come back. I will wait for you. Xian will wait for you too. Longao smiled. Since he had decided to leave, he did not want to stay any longer. He immediately turned around and left. But before he left, he sent a message to Ling Ruai using his spiritual sense. He asked the Ling family to keep the secret for him. After all, he did not want to reveal the fact that he had become an alchemist. Looking at the disappearing figure, Ling Ruai suddenly smiled and said, Yunshi, the Yun family will regret this. Regret? How could the family regret? Just when Yunshi was about to leave, Ling Ruai suddenly sent a message to her through her spiritual sense. I can tell you one thing. I hope that you can keep the secret for him. Not long ago, Longao had successfully received the recognition of the heavens and earth. He had obtained a level 2 elixir pattern. He is now a level 2 elixir pattern master. Ah. Looking at Ling Ruai, who had turned around and returned to the family, Yunshi was completely dumbfounded. She knew clearly the difference between a normal level 2 elixir pattern master and a level 2 elixir pattern master. They were not at the same level. Regret? If the family knew that Longao was a level 2 elixir pattern master, what would the family think? With Longao's talent, he could definitely become a level 3 elixir pattern master. Such a genius, not to mention Qianquan City. Even if he was in the super cities of the Blackstone Heavenly region, there would be countless forces trying to recruit him. This was fate. The family's fate. The family could have used this opportunity to rise up. But they did not expect that they would miss such a rare opportunity. Although Longao did not say anything, Yunshi knew that Longao must have a gap in his heart. At this moment, Yunshi was very lonely. Not long after Longao left, he was targeted. One by one, they hid their qi and followed him quietly. Although these people were confident, Longao had already noticed their qi. He just sneered and pretended that nothing had happened as he left Qianquan City. About 2 hours later, at a secluded mass grave far away from Qianquan City. Author's note, Chapter 6. Chapter 2897. Mass grave. The surroundings were gray and gloomy. It was eerie and sinister. Everyone, since you've been following us for so long, shouldn't you come out and meet us? Ha ha ha, Longao, I really didn't expect that you would be able to sense our presence. But it doesn't matter. After today, there will no longer be a Longao in this world. Not far away, Yi Han brought the 4 of them and walked out slowly. Longao, back then, you forced me to make a primordial soul oath. Even though I can't reveal your secret, I can kill you and snatch it away. What do you think? Shameless. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Yi Han. After all, killing Longao and snatching away Longao's legacy was not a violation of the primordial soul oath. Seeing that Longao did not speak, Yi Han thought that the other party was afraid. But thinking about it, he understood. On his side, there were a total of 4 middle gods. In addition, he was a peak lower god. If they wanted to kill Longao, it would be an easy task. Longao, I really admire you. To be able to rush over to Qingquan City in such a short time and even break through to become a high-level lower god. If you are a friend, waving his hand. Without giving Yi Han any chance to speak, Long Ao said impatiently, do you think that you can kill me? Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Hearing Long Ao's words, not only Yi Han, but even the four middle gods behind him laughed maniacally. It was as though they had heard the funniest joke in the world. A puny lower god dared to be so arrogant in front of four middle gods and a peak lower god. This matter was really arrogant to the extreme. Long Ao was extremely depressed in his heart. Even though his strength was enough to kill a middle god, it depended on the level of the middle god. If it were a low-level middle god or a mid-level middle god, he might be able to do it. But among the four people behind Yi Han, one of them was a peak middle god. It was hard for him to fight 1 against 5. Enter the Chaos Palace? Cut the weeds and dig up the roots to prevent future troubles. Back in the land of inheritance, he had let Yi Han go because he could no longer use his power. However, the situation now is different. If he let Yi Han go, no one knew if Yi Han would reveal this matter. If Yi Han's soul was searched by others, then his secret would definitely be exposed. At that time, it would be very troublesome.
Kill.
Only by cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots could they prevent future troubles. Long Ao, I'd like to see how you're going to leave this place alive. Yi Han took a step back, and the four gods behind him quickly moved forward, heading towards Long Ao from the north, south, east, and west. A god had already formed a golden core within his body and possessed the might of a golden core. Under normal circumstances, a low-level deity was definitely no match for a mid-level deity. Only Long Ao's situation was different. The Shenyuan sword appeared in his right hand, and the battle intent on his body instantly soared. It constantly climbed up, and in a few short seconds, it had climbed to a terrifying level. Looking at the Shenyuan sword in Long Ao's hand, Yi Han's face was very gloomy, filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. As he saw it, whether it was the Shenyuan sword or the Battle Emperor's legacy, they should both be his. But Long Ao had snatched away what originally belonged to him. Thus, Long Ao had to die. The legacy and the Shenyuan sword were both his. In the blink of an eye, Long Ao had already engaged in battle with four gods. 1 against 4, one had to admit that Long Ao was indeed very powerful. Fortunately, I've already broken through to the high-level lower god level. If I had the power I had when I first entered the Chaos Realm, I definitely wouldn't have been able to resist four gods. At most, I'd only be able to last a few seconds. Little Black, it's up to you. Long Ao quickly summoned Little Black from the Chaos Palace, which was the little thing that he had just obtained. Little Black didn't look like much. He was already a middle god when he was just born, and even a pinnacle middle god. He was only one step away from becoming a spiritual beast of the upper god level. What is this thing? Xiao Hei's speed was very fast, just like a series of afterimages. The four people saw a black shadow constantly flickering. They were startled. However, the four people were very clear that the other party definitely had a powerful spirit beast. Moreover, it was a mid-god level spirit beast. Even the four of them didn't dare to be careless. The opportunity had come. Long Ao chose to strike first. Holding the Shenyuan sword, he took a big step forward, and his entire body shot out quickly. 9 god-slaying swords. First sword. Even though his cultivation had already broken through to the high-level lower god level, Long Ao was still unable to use the second sword. Unless it was a last resort, he definitely wasn't willing to use the second sword. Now that Long Ao's cultivation had broken through to the high-level lower god level, his primordial spirit was comparable to a pinnacle middle god. This was probably something that no one could compare with. In a normal battle, it wouldn't be easy to kill the four of them smoothly. He could only take the risk and try. Chaos 9 Axes, 4th Axe. Annihilation of Consciousness. Long Ao held the Chaos Axe in his hand, and his primordial spirit passed through the Chaos Axe to attack the four of them directly. Just when Yi Han thought that Long Ao was definitely going to die, a scream suddenly rang out. Among the four of them, the strongest old man, who was also a pinnacle middle god, suddenly held his head and screamed continuously. Longao was very clear that to shoot a man, one had to shoot the horse first. To capture the bandits, one had to capture the leader first. As long as he got rid of the strongest of the four, the remaining three would be easy to deal with. Kill him while he's down. Longao didn't hold back at all. Just when the old man's primordial spirit was being attacked, the Xian Yuan sword in Longao's hand had already slashed out fiercely. With a crack, the old man didn't even have time to react and was already cut into two. He couldn't be more dead. Even his primordial spirit was completely destroyed. Ah! Seeing that a pinnacle middle god was killed by Longao, Yihan was a little shocked. Even though he saw it with his own eyes, he still couldn't believe that what was happening in front of him was real. When did Longao become so powerful? But it should be known that Longao was just a high-level lower god. He wasn't even a middle god yet. How could he kill a pinnacle middle god? It was too ridiculous. Ah! Blackie's speed was simply too fast. In the blink of an eye, one of them was attacked by Blackie at the same time. His primordial spirit was directly devoured by Blackie. In the blink of an eye, Blackie had already devoured the primordial spirit of a middle god. The remaining two middle gods were also a little shocked when they saw their companion killed in an instant. How could they dare to continue staying? They immediately turned around and left quickly. Since things had already come to this, they had to eliminate the source of trouble. Longao and Blackie attacked at the same time. An hour later, the primordial spirits of the two middle gods were completely devoured by Blackie. Longao didn't expect that Blackie would actually rely on devouring other people's primordial spirits to continuously increase his strength. If this was the case, as long as he continued devouring, it wouldn't take long for Blackie to advance to become a high-level deity spiritual beast. P.S. Delivery of Chapter 7. Chapter 2898. In a short few dozen minutes, the four gods had all been killed. Yihan was the only one left. Longao alone was enough to deal with him. Longao, you. Seeing Longao walk towards him, Yihan was scared silly. He didn't know what was going on at all. Why had Longao been able to kill four gods for no reason? Was this real? He didn't dare to believe it. He didn't want to believe it either. Yihan was very clear that since Longao could kill four middle-level gods, then killing him was probably also a matter of minutes. He had thought that he would be able to kill Longao without a hitch, but he hadn't imagined that this would be the result. Long before Longao had entered Qinquan City, Yihan had already discovered his tracks. After all, the Yi clan was one of the three great clans of Qinquan City. Yihan hadn't made a move yet, precisely because he didn't want others to know about this. Whether it was the Xianyuan sword or the Battle Emperor's legacy, he had to get them both. Longao, I was wrong before. I apologize. You are a magnanimous person. Please forgive a shameless bastard like me. Seeing the cold smile on Longao's face, Yihan had long since lost his previous arrogance. He knelt down on the ground, fiercely kowtowing 3 times. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. I regret it. I can swear a primordial spirit oath. From now on, I will never oppose you again. I won't tell anyone about your secret. I beg you to let me go. I beg you to let me go. He didn't want to waste any more words. The Xianyuan sword in his hand suddenly struck out. Yihan didn't even have time to react before the sword struck out. Yihan's body was directly split into 2. Little Black immediately came out and devoured Yihan's primordial spirit. He searched through the space of the 5 people. Aside from the tens of millions of crystals, there were also all sorts of precious second-rank spirit beasts and third-rank spirit herbs, as well as all sorts of beast cores. He had really struck it rich this time. Destroying the corpses. The burning heart flame lotus appeared in his hand. Longao did not want to cause any trouble for himself. The flames of the burning heart flame lotus instantly destroyed the 5 corpses. Looking at Xiaohe in his arms, Longao smiled and said, "Looks like you're really not simple. In the future, you'll have to devour a lot of souls for me. I'm really looking forward to seeing what level you'll reach when you grow up." Squeak, squeak, squeak. It seemed to be very excited. After all, Little Hay had just devoured several primordial spirits. He placed Little Black into the Chaos Palace. Long Ao also entered the Primal Chaos Palace. Looking at Qin Shuang, who was lying on the bed, he sighed deeply. Until now, he still hadn't thought of a way to save Qin Shuang. Previously, Qin Shuang had swallowed the blacklight spot. Whether it was her primordial spirit or her body, they had taken a huge turn for the better. "I will definitely cure you." Ever since he entered the chaotic realm, Long Ao had a feeling that Qin Shuang, who was lying on the bed, was his wife. Although it was just his intuition, he trusted it very much. In this life, he definitely did not know Qin Shuang. If that was the case, just what in the world was going on? Even Long Ao himself could not figure it out. Coming to the side of the bed, stretching out his right hand, he stroked Qin Shuang's cheeks gently. At this moment, Long Ao seemed to have lost the killing intent from before. It was just like how a husband would treat his wife. Heaven and Earth City, Yi family. "Father, I don't know why, but I keep having the feeling that something has happened to Han." The head of the Yi family, Yi Feng, was also one of the three upper gods of Heaven and Earth City. His face was extremely dark as he said coldly, "You're right. Previously, I had specially crafted a jade tablet for Han. The moment anything happens to Han, the jade tablet will shatter." Yi Zhuang seemed to have guessed something as his face changed. He asked, "Father, could it be that Han is already?" "No matter who it is, to dare to kill the grandson of Yi Feng, I'll tear you into pieces." Not long later, the news of the Yi family's genius disciple, Yi Han, as well as 4 middle gods, being killed had already spread throughout the entire Heaven and Earth City. Everyone who received the news was shocked. The Yi family's position in Heaven and Earth City was like that of a local tyrant. Not to mention others, even the other 2 great families, the Ling family and the Yun family, did not dare to casually offend the Yi family. Not to mention, Yi Han was the most talented disciple of the Yi family. Killing Yi Han was clearly a provocation to the Yi family. The Yi family's anger had already spread throughout the entire Heaven and Earth City. Everyone was in danger. Who knew if the Yi family would vent their anger on others because of Yi Han's death? Things like getting caught in the crossfire had happened before. After all, in Heaven and Earth City, strength was everything. The fists of the 3 great families were the hardest. Even if they killed you, you wouldn't have the slightest bit of anger. Yun Shi and Ling Ruai had also received the news. The 2 women believed without a doubt that this matter should be related to Long Ao. Others might not know, but it was impossible for the 2 of them not to know that Long Ao and Yi Han had a deep grudge against each other. Long Ao did not die early or play, but he died when he left Heaven and Earth City. If there were no accidents, this matter must be done by Long Ao. Both Yun Shi and Ling Ruai were very worried about Long Ao's safety. They knew the strength of the Yi family very well. Even if Long Ao was already a level 2 pill mark alchemist, the Yi family would not be afraid. It was obviously unrealistic for one person to fight against the entire Yi family alone. Not only did the Yi family lose Yi Han, they also lost 4 middle gods. For the other 2 great families, this was the most desirable thing to see. The Yi family originally thought that it was done by the other 2 great families. However, after thinking about it, they felt that it was not very likely. Unless it was a last resort, the other 2 great families would not dare to casually fall out with the Yi family. Who could it be? As the head of the Yi family, Yi Feng had been searching for 3 whole days, but there was still no clue. If this continued, the longer the delay, the more disadvantageous it would be for the clues. The most helpless thing was that when Yi Han left with the 4 of them, he did not say what he was going to do. Because of this, the Yi family did not have any clues to find the murderer. Heaven and Earth City, the calm before the storm. Yun family, main hall. Xiaoxi, tell me and your grandfather, is Longao's death related to Longao? Yunyi wasn't an idiot. Longao's sudden departure, Yihan's sudden fall, and his daughter's obvious worry, so all the spearheads pointed to Longao. This matter was very likely done by Longao. If that was really the case, then Longao was really too bold to actually dare to kill Yihan. Are you going to report this to the Yi family? Xiaoxi, I know that we did not fight for it before. However, I've already told you that Longao is just an ordinary level 2 array master. Even if he can become a guest elder, it is impossible for him to get the full support of the family. After all, the family does not belong to just me and your grandfather. We have to consider the whole family. Author's note, Chapter 8. Chapter 2899. The family's interests were the most important. Even the head of the family was no exception. Yunyi did not say anything or decline this point. For an ordinary rank 2 alchemist, the entire family would support them. Even if they were willing, the family would not be willing. Ling family was gambling. Yun family could not gamble with them. If they lost, the consequences would be unimaginable. Looking at her father, Yunxi was very clear that her father was right. Grandfather, father, what I said today, I hope you can keep it a secret. Speak, we will keep it a secret. Yunlong and Yunyi were very curious, not knowing what Yunxi wanted to say. Just before Longao left, with the full support of the Ling family, he had already obtained rank 2 inscriptions. Now Longao is not an ordinary rank 2 alchemist, but a rank 2 inscriptions master. What? Hearing Yunxi's words, the two were completely stunned. The two were very clear. The difference between an ordinary rank 2 alchemist and a rank 2 inscriptions master was huge. Yunxi. Grandfather, father, this is the family's choice. I can't do anything about it. Very helpless. Once was fine, but twice, even she would not have the face to go again. It was because of the family's short-sightedness that the entire family lost a chance to rise up. After successfully killing Yihan and the 4 middle gods, Longao did not immediately rush back, but started to try to break through to the peak of lower god. He tried hundreds of times, but it still ended in failure. Very helpless. Of course, Longao knew what the situation was. Since entering the Chaos Realm, in such a short time, he had already broken through to the peak of lower god. This cultivation speed was indeed too fast. I should stabilize my realm first. Helpless, Longao could only choose to give up on breaking through and start to stabilize his current realm. It took him a full half a month to completely stabilize his realm. Deep sigh. To break through to the peak of lower god, even with the help of pills, it will still take a year. Pills could not be consumed, otherwise, once the pill poison backfired, it would be even more troublesome and even affect his realm, causing him to regress instead of advancing. Black Rock City, the largest city in the Black Rock domain, and also the core of the entire Black Rock domain. The domain master of the Black Rock domain was a powerful god king warrior, and the domain master Nangong Baofeng lived in Black Rock City. According to the rumors, the city lord of Black Rock City, Nangong Chun, was Nangong Baofeng's son. He was also a powerful overgod. After leaving Cosmos City, Longao's first goal was to head to Black Rock City. If he wanted to grow quickly, Black Rock City was the best choice. He didn't want to leave the Blackstone Heavenly region for now. Longao had already thought about this. He would wait until he had broken through to become a high-level deity and a level 3 elixir pattern master. Then, he would concoct the Enlightenment elixir and immediately return to Qianquan City to help Ling Ruoyi and Yunxi break through to become a high-level deity. Then, he left the Blackstone Heavenly region to explore the outside world. As for the 9 Nether Heaven domain, this debt would not be settled so easily. After breaking through to Lord level, Longao was prepared to return to the Abysmal Heavens and go to Mist Mountain City to look for the city governor, Zuelon. Now, Longao had a lot of crystal stones with him. He could be considered a super rich man. After all, he had taken 10 million crystal stones from Ling Ruoyi. Then he killed Yihan, and the other 4, and got a lot of crystal stones from them. If he were to walk on his own, who knew how long it would take him to reach Blackwater City? The fastest way was to ride on a flying divine weapon. Half a month later, looking at the huge city in front of him, Longao sighed. Whether it was Mist Mountain City or Tranquil City, they were already very big. However, compared to Blackrock City, these two cities were not on the same level. To enter Blackrock City, one had to pay crystal stones. No matter which city it was the same rule. Blackrock City was 100 times more prosperous than Tranquil City and Mist Mountain City. It was indeed the most prosperous city in the Tranquil heavenly region. There were experts everywhere in this place. Not to mention a middle god. Even a higher god could be easily encountered. In fact, one could even encounter a so-called master god. It was said that the Pill Halls branch in Blackrock City had a level 3 elixir pattern master in charge. From this, one could imagine how powerful Blackrock City was. Power Town. He had to build his own town. That way, no matter if it was him or his family, they would have a place to stay. Otherwise, living under someone else's roof would always be a bad idea. If he wanted to build his own power, he would not be able to do it with his current strength. Fortunately, he was a level 2 elixir pattern master. If he could become a level 4 elixir pattern master, then he would be qualified. Have you guys heard? Zone Long Tian region's flying warship has been docked beside Blackrock City. Moreover, 2 overgods have also entered Blackrock City. What happened? Middle Heaven region, no matter if it was strength or power, they were far above Lower Heaven region. I don't know. Anyway, the 2 overgods and the city lord sent out an order to search for the 4 members of the Black Wind team from 9 Tranquil Heaven region. Could it be that the Black Wind team offended the 2 overgods of Zone Long Tian region? Who knows? However, the 2 overgods and the city lord's offer are very tempting. It would be great if I could find the 4 members of the Black Wind team. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Just when he was about to head to the Pill Halls branch to take a look, Longao suddenly heard the discussions around him. He was shocked. He originally thought that everything was fine, but he never thought that Du Lei and He Zhongtian were still unwilling to let the 4 of them go. It seems like the 2 of them realized that something was wrong. As for soul searching, unless it was a last resort, those who had broken through to the overgod realm would definitely not do it casually. After all, soul searching was really harmful to a warrior's Tao. It was a great hindrance to their cultivation and breakthrough. Fortunately, he had entrusted Mabai and the other 2 to the Yun family. He had also made the 3 of them change their names. Apart from Yun Shi and Yun Yi, the others did not know their identities. Even if the 2 overgods were powerful, finding the 3 of them would be as difficult as finding a needle in a haystack. As for himself, Longao was not worried at all. As long as he disguised himself slightly, even the 2 overgods would not be able to find him. Back then on the flying warship, the 2 of them did not stop him. Therefore, it would be almost impossible for them to catch the 4 of them after they left. After finding a secluded place, Longao immediately entered the Chaos Palace. He only left after disguising himself. He took a deep breath. If he could kill the 2 overgods and be devoured by Little Black and himself, it would be a great tonic for both him and Little Black. P.S. Delivery of Chapter 9. Chapter 2900. Pill Palace, Branch Palace. When Longao stepped into the Branch Palace, someone immediately came forward to receive him. Honorable sir, may I know what kind of elixir you would like to purchase? No need, I am looking for your palace master. Palace master? The receptionist had a difficult expression. After all, the palace master had the highest position, and not everyone could meet him. If everyone wanted to meet the palace master, wouldn't the palace master be busy to death? How could Longao not know what the receptionist meant? He smiled. Longao didn't mind at all and said, "Go and tell your palace master that I am a rank 2 elixir inscription master." Yes, please wait a moment. The receptionist was shocked because he knew better than anyone else what a rank 2 elixir inscription master meant. Even an ordinary rank 4 elixir inscription master had a lower position than a rank 2 elixir inscription master. After a short while, a kind-looking old man walked out quickly. Needless to say, this person was the branch palace master of the Blackrock City's Pill Palace, Dongfang Tuing. A rank 3 elixir inscription master had a position comparable to a lord. Not to mention others, even the Blackrock City's city lord, Nangong Qin, had to be polite to him. A rank 3 elixir inscription master could concoct a rank 3 elixir inscription master. Its effect was very domineering. The most important elixir to break through to a lord from a high god was the spatial elixir. However, only a rank 4 elixir inscription master could concoct such a top-notch elixir. According to the rumors, Dongfang Tuing was already very close to becoming a rank 4 elixir inscription master. No one knew when he would break through. If Dongfang Tuing really broke through to become a rank 4 elixir inscription master, his position would probably rise again. At that time, not to mention the branch palace master, he might even be summoned back to the headquarters. The headquarters of the Pill Hall wasn't in the lower heaven domain, nor was it in the middle heaven domain. It was in the first heaven domain. One could imagine how powerful the Pill Hall was.
Sir, please follow me.
Longao smiled and followed him. To be welcomed by a rank 3 elixir inscription master, it was enough to show how high a rank 2 elixir inscription master's position was. In a luxurious room. I am the branch palace master, Dongfang Tuing. How should I address you? Longao? Hearing the two words Longao, Dongfang Tuing's expression changed slightly. After all, a major piece of news had come out of Blackrock City. 2 overgods from the Middle Heaven domain had joined forces with the city lord to issue a warrant for 4 people. One of them seemed to be called Longao. Your identity. That's right. Longao didn't hide anything. Since he dared to come to the Pill Hall, he didn't plan to hide anything. So, what's the purpose of your visit? Dongfang Tuing was very impressed. 2 master gods and the city lord had jointly issued a bounty, and the other party actually dared to appear in Blackrock City. He was simply courting death. I want to know if I can get protection if I join the Pill Hall. So that was the case. Dongfang Tuing already knew the purpose of Longao's visit this time. In the end, it was to find a shelter. No matter what, the combination of the 2 master gods and the city lord was too powerful. Even if the opponent was a second-rank pill inscription master, it was impossible for him to contend against such a super existence. If he were to agree to it, he was afraid that it would bring him trouble. Give me a reason and see if it's worth it. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Dongfang Tuing continued, as long as you have enough reason to make me believe you, then I can guarantee that I won't dare to say anything behind your back. On the surface, no matter if it's the 2 master gods or the city lord of Blackrock City, they won't dare to make a move against you openly. Longao wasn't surprised by Dongfang Tuing's arrogance at all. He had the right to be arrogant. The Pill Hall was too powerful. Not to mention the city lord of Blackrock City, even the domain lord of Blackrock Heavenly Domain, who was the city lord's father, didn't dare to provoke the Pill Hall. I can become a 3rd-rank pill inscription master. This reason is not enough to make me believe you. What a joke. How difficult is it for a 2nd-rank pill inscription master to become a 3rd-rank pill inscription master? No one knew it better than him, because Dongfang Tuing was a 3rd-rank pill inscription master himself. It was just a verbal promise, but he had to offend the city lord of Blackrock City. Obviously, it wasn't worth it. Dongfang Tuing smiled. Longao, you should know who you are offending. 2 master gods from the Middle Heaven domain, and one of them is the city lord of Blackrock City. If the Pill Hall helps you, then we will have to go against the city lord mansion in the future. Do you think it's worth it? He didn't care at all. After all, there's no free lunch in this world. He didn't want to talk too much. If he wanted the Pill Hall to offend the city lord mansion, including the 2 master gods from the Middle Heaven domain, and protect himself, then he had to take out enough things. Otherwise, not to mention the person in front of him, no one would do such a thing. A flame suddenly appeared in his palm. It was the heart-burning lotus. Because Longao knew clearly in his heart that a strange flame was more persuasive than anything else. Moreover, what a strange flame meant to an alchemist, especially a pill inscription master, he believed that Dongfang Tuing knew it better than him. Looking at the flame that appeared in Longao's hand, Dongfang Tuing was completely stunned. He stared at the young man in front of him blankly. He knew clearly what the flame in Longao's hand meant. Strange flame, you actually have a strange flame. According to the legends, there are 23 types of strange flame in the world. No matter who obtains a strange flame, they can become a peerless expert. As for an alchemist who obtains a strange flame, they can also become an alchemist grandmaster. An alchemist grandmaster was a super existence that was equivalent to a rank 9 pill inscription master. It seemed like there had never been such a heaven-defying pill inscription master in the entire Chaos realm. Longao only smiled and didn't say anything. The shocking power of a strange flame was really not bad. Actually, Longao was also gambling. He had already inquired about Dongfang Tuying's character. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to take out a strange flame so casually. Once the news of him possessing a strange flame spread out, he knew what kind of result it would bring. Longao, I want to ask, what is the strange flame in your hand? Burning Heart Flame Lotus. Burning Heart Flame Lotus, ranked 7th among the 23 types of strange flame. It is said that many years ago, the Battle Emperor Xianyuan Bubi obtained the Burning Heart Flame Lotus by chance. It was also because of the Burning Heart Flame Lotus that the Battle Emperor Xianyuan Bubi entered the heavenly region and made a name for himself. No one in the entire Chaos realm knew about the fall of Xianyuan Bubi, except for those who entered the land of inheritance. The Xianyuan sword appeared in Longao's hand once again. He smiled and said, Xianyuan Bubi is my master. Other than the Burning Heart Flame Lotus, I also have this Xianyuan sword. I believe you won't suspect anything, right? Of course I won't suspect anything. If you weren't his disciple, how could you obtain the Burning Heart Flame Lotus? Your luck is really good. I believe that you can break through to become a rank 3 pill inscription master and even go higher in the future. Author's note: all 10 chapters have been delivered. Today can be considered as an outburst. It can also be considered as making up for the debt from a few days ago. It isn't realistic to have outbursts every day. Little Nine will try his best to have 5 chapters a day and outburst on Monday. Chapter 2901. Dongfang Tuing knew very well what it meant to have a strange flame. If it was an ordinary rank 2 pill engraving master, it wouldn't be worth the pill hall's effort. After all, the other party was the Blackrock City's city lord, and even the 2 Middle Heaven domains over gods. With such strength, no one would be willing to provoke them unless they had nothing better to do. Longao looked at Dongfang Tuing in front of him and didn't say anything. Longao already knew how Dongfang Tuing wanted to choose. Time passed by slowly. After an unknown amount of time, Brother Long, I can promise you on behalf of the Pill Hall, and I can guarantee that this matter won't be leaked. But I've already said that as long as you're willing to join the Pill Hall, no matter if it's the 2 of them or the City Lord, they wouldn't dare to do anything to you openly. He didn't continue. Dongfang Tuying's intention was actually very simple. They didn't dare to do anything openly because they were afraid of the Pill Hall, but no one could guarantee that they wouldn't do anything secretly. Several overgods and many high gods. With such strength, even the Pill Hall wouldn't be able to protect them all the time. Until now. Dongfang Tuing didn't know how Longao provoked the 2 overgods. How could Longao not know what Dongfang Tuing meant? He didn't care at all. If he was afraid, he wouldn't have stepped into the Blackrock City. He would have left as far as he could. As if he could guess what Dongfang Tuing was thinking, Longao told Dongfang Tuing everything that happened. After all, he even took out the strange flame, let alone other things. So that's how it is. According to what you said, this energy light spot is definitely not simple. Regarding this point, Longao already knew long ago. Even the unconscious Qin Shuangshuang had already devoured the light spot. Welcome to the pill hall. Dongfang Tuing didn't say anything else. A rank 2 pill engraving master with a strange flame and Xianyuan inheritance, such a person must stay in the pill hall. Dongfang Tuing could almost say that Long Ao's future achievements would definitely be extraordinary. He might even become a divine emperor. Thank you. Long Ao was really grateful. Because even if he had a strange flame, not everyone was willing to recruit him. Toward this person, Long Ao really admired him. Brother Dongfang, if my guess is correct, you should be able to advance to become a 4th level pill inscription master very soon. A rank 4 pill inscriptionist status even surpassed that of a sovereign and was comparable to the God King. Long Ao was very clear in his heart what a tier 4 pill inscription master meant. He smiled. That's right. It should be in the next few years. Thinking that he was about to become a tier 4 pill inscription master, Dongfang Tuing felt a deep sense of surprise and excitement. Once he became a tier 4 pill inscription master, he would be able to go to the pill hall instead of staying in the branch hall. Blackrock City. City Lord's Manor. Du Lei and He Zhongtian didn't look too good. Originally, they thought that with the help of the Blackstone City, it wouldn't be difficult to find the 4 of them after they entered the Blackstone Heavenly Region. If Nangong Chun helped the 2 of them with all his strength, it would indeed be very smooth. But what was the result? On the surface, Nangong Chun said that it would be very easy, but in reality, he didn't help at all. How could the 2 of them not know what Nangong Chun meant? City Lord Nangong, how is the search for the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad? Nangong Chun looked like he was in his 30s, but in the chaotic realm, one couldn't judge a book by its cover. Some people looked like they were in their teens, but they were already old monsters that had lived for millions of years, or even hundreds of millions of years. Nangong Chun smiled and said, I'm helping you find the Black Wind Squad. However, the 2 of you should know that the Blackstone Heavenly Region is boundless. It won't be easy to find traces of the 4 of them. City Lord, how can we shorten the time? The 2 of them were very angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. Nangong Chun definitely wouldn't dare to offend the 2 of them, but they were helpless because Nangong Chun had the support of the Blackstone Heavenly Region's domain lord. If that was the case, even the forces behind them wouldn't dare to offend the Blackstone Heavenly Region. He felt helpless, but more than that, he regretted it. The flying warship couldn't stay in the Blackstone Heavenly Region forever. Time was too tight. Nangong Chun sneered in his heart. So, what if they were 2 overgods? Unless the Divine King came personally, he didn't need to be afraid of anyone. Moreover, how could the Divine King come to the Blackstone Heavenly Region for such a small matter? The 2 of you, I heard that you have some treasures that can increase your cultivation base quickly. I wonder if I am lucky enough to have them. At this point, Nangong Chun suddenly stopped and did not continue speaking. The 2 of them were furious, but they didn't show it on their faces. He Zhongtian said, since we have already said this, we won't hide it anymore. Not long ago, we accidentally found a power light spot that contained a shocking power. It might even be the inheritance power of some almighty. Unfortunately, this thing disappeared automatically. When we found it again, we found that the person who accidentally found the light spot had been killed. Nangong Chun wasn't a fool. He instantly understood what the 2 of them meant. You mean that the light spot might have been taken away by the Black Wind Squad? That's right. The 2 of them knew very well that although they were overgods, they didn't have any influence in the Blackstone Heavenly Region. It was basically impossible for them to find the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad. They could only rely on the City Lord's estate in the Blackstone Heavenly Region. No matter what, a powerful dragon couldn't defeat a local snake. Very good. If I find Long Ao and the other 3, how should we deal with the power of the light spot? He Zhongtian suppressed his anger. Originally, he wanted to return to the Heavenly Region and devour the light spot. However, he never thought that things would turn out like this. However, it was too late for regrets now. He Zhongtian suppressed his anger and said with a smile, "Once we find the light spot again, the three of us will devour the power of the light spot separately. What do you think?" Both He Zhongtian and Du Lei felt helpless that they had to give up a third of the light spot's power for no reason. If they could give up a third of the light spot's power, then they could devour a third of the light spot's power. The two of them knew very well that if they didn't have Nangong Chen's full assistance, they definitely wouldn't be able to find the light spot's power. On the other hand, the flying battleship wouldn't be able to stay for too long. Let alone devouring a third of the light spot's power, they probably wouldn't even be able to devour a sliver of it. However, Nangong Chen shook his head and smiled. "I don't think that distribution is suitable." Chapter 2902. May I know how City Lord Nangong wants to distribute the light spots? I'll do my part, and you'll just sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. So, according to my plan, once we catch Longao, we can divide the light spots into 3 portions. Du Lei and He Zhongtian didn't say anything. They seemed to have guessed something. Their expressions changed, but they immediately returned to normal. "I'll take 2 portions. City Lord Nangong." Nangong Chen waved his hand. Nangong Chen didn't want to waste any more time and said, "I've already said that you're just sitting back and enjoying the fruits of others' labor. It's already good enough that you can get 1 portion. You must be honest." Honest indeed. They had to admit that Nangong Chen was very shameless. Both of them had their own plans. However, in this situation, Nangong Chen obviously had the upper hand. Suppressing the anger in their hearts, the two of them knew that they couldn't do anything in this situation. After all, they didn't have any forces in the Black Stone Heavenly region. They could only rely on each other.
All right.
Helplessly, they could only agree for now. What if Longao and the other 3 have already devoured the black light spots? Impossible. Without reaching the Over-God realm, it's impossible to devour the black light spots. The two of them were very confident about this. If that's the case, I'll immediately give the order to search for the 4 of them. Shameless. They didn't see Nangong Chen like this before. Now that he had gotten 2/3 of the benefits, he seemed to have changed into another person. Since things had already come to this, the two of them couldn't say anything more. Longao had successfully joined the Pill Palace. However, for the sake of peace, Longao purposely changed his name to Black Wolf. Dongfang Tuing treated Longao quite well. After all, there were already 2 rank 2 Pill Rune Masters in the Pill Palace's branch. Dongfang Tuing had given Longao his full support. The entire branch was fully supporting Longao to become a rank 3 Pill Rune Master. After all, there was a huge gap between rank 2 and rank 3 Pill Rune Masters. For example, the 2 rank 2 Pill Rune Masters of the Pill Palace. The Pill Palace had spent a lot of effort on them, but they still couldn't become rank 3 Pill Rune Masters. Ji-in and Wenrong were rank 2 Pill Rune Masters of the Pill Palace.
Not only that,
the two of them had also received a lot of training from the branch halls. However, even after several hundred years, the two of them were still unable to become level 3 Pill Inscription Masters. He was very envious and jealous. The two of them didn't care if the branch palace had done the same thing in the past. In any case, they couldn't bear to see the branch palace nurturing a rank 2 Pill Inscription Master who had just stepped into the branch palace. However, the two of them did not dare to say anything. There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall. The City Lord's mansion controlled the entire Blackstone City, and Nangong Chen's influence spread throughout the entire city. Even if Dongfang Tuing kept it a secret, the 2 level 2 Pill Inscription Masters still leaked Longao's information. Wasn't the Pill Hall openly provoking the City Lord Mansion and the 2 Master Gods by hiding Longao? This matter completely shocked Blackrock City. All this time, the Pill Hall and the City Lord Mansion had always minded their own business. However, the Pill Hall's actions were clearly provoking the City Lord Mansion.
Pill Hall.
In the lobby, Dongfang Tuing, 2 rank 2 Pill Inscription Masters, and Longao were all there. After knowing about Longao's situation, Nangong Chen and the other two couldn't wait any longer and immediately rushed to the Pill Palace. Palace Lord Dongfang, what do you mean by this? Nangong Chen sneered and asked. He didn't expect Longao to be a rank 2 pill inscription master. However, even if that was the case, the three of them had already put out a bounty on Longao. The Pill Hall wouldn't defend the City Lord Mansion for a rank 2 pill inscription master. Could it be that Longao had already given the light spot's energy to the Pill Hall? If that was the case, then things would be troublesome. The Pill Hall was extremely powerful. Not to mention Blackrock City, even his father wouldn't dare to provoke the Pill Hall. The Pill Hall was a giant in the chaotic realm. Its branches were spread throughout the 99 heavens domains. Dongfang Tuing smiled and said, I don't quite understand what City Lord means. Dongfang Tuing wasn't just a rank 3 pill inscription master, he was also a master god. Because in every core city of the 33 heavens domains, there would be a master god level rank 3 pill inscription master overseeing it. From this, one could imagine how terrifying the Pill Hall was. Asking the obvious. Nangong Chen suppressed the anger in his heart and said, This black wolf beside you is Longao, the person we're looking for. You clearly know his identity, but you still want to recruit him to the Pill Hall. Isn't this provoking the City Lord Mansion? City Lord, you're exaggerating. I didn't know that Longao was a rank 2 pill inscription master. Why can't he join the Pill Hall? If it was someone else, it would be fine. However, the light spot's energy was too important. If he could devour it, he might be able to break through the Divine King realm and reach the Divine Emperor realm. For the light spot, he must bring Longao away today. Palace Lord Dongfang, we're from the Zonglong domain. Before He Zhongtian could finish his words, Dongfang Tuing waved his hand and stopped him. Where you came from has nothing to do with me. I only know one thing. Longao is already a member of the Pill Hall. No matter who it is, don't even think about taking him away. Domineering. Longao sighed. This was the strength of the Pill Hall. No matter if it was the City Lord Mansion or the Zonglong domain, Dongfang Tuing didn't give a damn about them. In the end, it wasn't because Dongfang Tuing was powerful. It was because the Pill Hall behind Dongfang Tuing was extremely powerful. Not to mention the middle domain. Even the upper domain wouldn't be afraid of them. Nangong Chen and the other two's expressions were extremely ugly. After all, the strength of the Pill Hall behind Dongfang Tuing was obvious. If it was something else, they wouldn't be willing to provoke the Pill Hall. However, they couldn't give up on the light spot's energy. They definitely couldn't give up on it. The three of them had already guessed that Longao might have already given the light spot's energy to Dongfang Tuing. Otherwise, why would Dongfang Tuing protect Longao? It wasn't realistic at all. On one side, it was the middle domain and the City Lord Mansion. On the other side, it was a rank 2 pill inscription master. As long as one's brain wasn't damaged, one would know what to choose. Longao, we'll give you a chance. As long as you hand over the thing, we can leave immediately. Moreover, this matter will end here. How about it? Because of the Pill Hall, the three of them had no choice but to take a step back. They didn't care about Longao's life or death at all. All they wanted was the light spot's energy. How could Longao not know what the three of them wanted? Longao was almost certain that the thing the three of them wanted was the light spot that Qin Shuangshuang devoured. As for Xiaohe, the egg from before, the three of them should know about it. It should be Tong de Bao who got it by accident. Perhaps even Tong de Bao himself didn't know that Xiaohe could be hatched. P.S. I stayed up too late last night. Today I have a terrible headache. I barely managed to write the second chapter. I'm going to sleep first. I'll write another chapter at night. I hope everyone can forgive me. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.